Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Hey, I'm your writer.
Also joining us is David.
Hello, I am Windrunner, and I have been waiting for this day for many moons.
I think we've had this topic on our sign-up spreadsheet since 2018, like a really long time.
With David required in that line.
True.
Waiting,
that is true.
Waiting.
That is true. Last, we got Grace.
Hey, I'm Gator Girl.
You know, that's a very fitting name for a Threnodite.
Is it?
Grace? Yeah, I would say so.
Oh, Grace. I was like, Gator Girl.
I'm like
no,
Have to do.
Look, the further Threnodite offshoots get really weird.
I've got my virtue name. I've got my silver. I am ready to go. I'm a proper Threnodite.
You're ready to go. I'm Chaos, and today we are finally, after long last, talking about Threnody and the evil. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, so for our spooky evil episode, we are going to be ushering in October for any Halloween fans to being themed this year.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly the plan.
If you want more October themed goodness, go back and watch our Horror in the Cosmere episode.
That's true, actually. That was a good episode. It turns out we've actually gotten quite a bit of lore on the evil over the last few books, so there's some stuff to talk about. Obviously, full Cosmere spoilers through Emberdark. It's relevant. Before we get on to lots of Cosmere stuff, a lot of us have reread Shadows for Silence, which I certainly haven't done over 10 years. 10 to 11 years at this stage. So I wanted to just have a little moment to blab a bit about Shadows for Silence, because that was fun to reread.
Yeah, it's definitely been a hot minute for me as well. I don't have a date that I can put for the last time I read it, but I do really like this book, or this story.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember this short story came out kind of right when I was sort of like locking in as a Cosmere fan. Like, I think it was like 2012 or so. And like Alloy had kind of come out when I think that's right, isn't it? That's probably ballpark, because we'll check to see if that's correct. Eric can do a little research break. Yes. But anyway, like it was right when we had our, we
2013
had our kind of
Dangerous Women came out.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah. So the Cosmere was still pretty small then. And so anytime we got like a new little world, like a new hint at like kind of what Brandon was thinking about, it was just so exciting to kind of see what the broader Cosmere looked like. And this was such a mysterious story, and I forgot how fun it is. And if you read the end note in Arcanum Unbounded, he talks about how this is a world he built, and then George R. Martin was like, hey, you want to write a short story, and he decided, he came up with an idea for the story, and he dropped it into a pre-built world. And you can really feel that this is a world that he world built. There's so much rich little detail in there for such a short story about their life and kind of the way the world works. And God, it's so good. It is Brandon's best short story, I believe.
Yeah, and it's one of the most atmospheric works that he's done, even still, in my opinion. Like it's like edges more into like the dark fantasy, like horror-iness. That I do like it. It's good. Without being like full-blown a horror story.
There's definitely something about it where, there's so much lore, and Brandon's not talking about like any of it. Like, we just get a name drop of the evil. Okay. We didn't know about it until Sunlit Man, like literally nothing other than like some mobs. I'm like, okay, what's that about? But I love the atmosphere of this, where it's just, oh yeah, there's no predators. Shades killed them all. Oh, okay. Great. Lovely. You can see why they called it hell. But also, like, I forgot how like brutal it was as well. It's like, oh, they just bagged these guys' head and bashed them in with hammers, and just like, oh, you just can't let the blood out.
Oh, yeah. Silence's grandmother trapping her with a shade to like being like, all right, fight it. Like, you better fight it.
Yeah,
There's something about brutal settings where it's like you want the brutality, but you're not allowed to spill blood that I just think always adds like an extra layer of horror to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's so tense. Like, you're always just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, like they're on a knife's edge the whole time in terms of what's about to be killed.
Yeah. And like, as somebody who is from a forest biome, I'm like, I like it. And like, I live in the northeast of America. Like, it's deciduous.
The way you said it just made it seem like you're a wood elf or something. So I was
yeah. So like, when I still lived with my parents, like, we were in the woods, like a lot of woods in Connecticut. But also when I was a kid and we lived in Florida, like, I would go camping in like the forests down there, and like, I'm like, yes, this is the creepiness that forests have. Like, great.
Yeah. A few things that I didn't remember is, obviously we've seen the rule about like bloodshed with shades. Like, yeah, we got that. I didn't remember the other simple rules about like kindling fire and running away. And one thing that occurred to me on a reread was that, in a sense, it seemed like there was a bit of an intent aspect to all of the simple rules. Like, a bloody nose, totally fine. But if you hurt someone and cause blood, that's a problem, right? Like, you're causing the thing. It is interesting that the intent isn't what draws the shade, like with the blood. Like, you can still inflict harm, but as long as the blood doesn't come out, it's fine. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that doesn't work with the kindling fire, because like the gunpowder trap, like the guy like who stepped on the board didn't intend to light a fire, but
that's true.
They still went for it.
I mean, I think the blood one is probably like the most extreme one, whereas the other two are like, it just like makes them, like, turns them black, makes their eyes green rather than the red bloodlust. So I think that's fine.
Yeah, there's definitely like gradations between the three rules. They're just grouped because they all interact with the shades.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like that's a really cool like world building aspect of like, I want more about that, Brandon.
Yeah, I so want a Threnody book. And we're going to talk a bit about the Night Brigade a bit later. But very cool seeing the Cosmere stuff. Just very in the background, but slightly there.
And all three of the three rules are represented in the Threnody symbol. Isaac put them in there. I don't know if he's like explained exactly how it's supposed to be, but like they're all kind of have like a little connection in that symbol.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
I was gonna say, there's also in Shadows for Silence, we don't really get anything about the homeworld.
No.
But just knowing that this is hell and this is the place they fled to because it's better than where they were before. Just sets such a stage for what the homeworld is actually like.
And it's like, oh, it's the evil there. And we chose to come to hell instead. Okay. Doesn't seem pretty great there in the homeland at all.
I remember when my theory was, before we got Arcanum Unbounded and learned ambition was a thing. Because there was the big mystery of like, what is Sazed doing with the extra chunk of ruin? I'm like, what if the evil is the extra chunk of ruin? I'm like,
we like that.
No.
There's a wob in there that's in Arcanum where there's been somebody going after that because they're going, is the evil related to ruin? And Brennan goes, technically.
Don't ask
love
Brandon those questions.
You love that. I also like when we got Shadows for Silence that these were like the first cognitive shadows, and yet they're, well, I guess Warbreaker, the return, but I don't think we had that terminology really.
We didn't know
what that was. Yeah.
And we didn't connect those with them.
But like Shades are maybe the weirdest cognitive shadows because there's like there's like so almost nothing of them left, unless you're Naz, which we'll see later. But they're so creepy. What a great short story. Go reread it. It's really fun. I mean,
it's short.
It doesn't take very long.
Yeah.
It's atmospheric, brutal, and horrifying, but it's good. I like it. What a great grandma.
And I hope that and I think it will be representative of the tone of the Threnody novel when it comes. I feel like, and he says something in the end note about how like that's gonna kind of be. Not all Brandon's books are gonna be like this, obviously, because we've read a lot of them at this point. But I like when he plays in different genres, and I think he did a really, really good job in this one. So
yeah, like Threnody wouldn't be a good choice for a story like Tress or Yumi.
No.
Narrated by Hoyd.
No.
Because he's just too fun for that.
I really like the different genres that Brandon's doing apart from that kind of Mistborn and Stormlight, right? Like those are kind of the main ones, but like it's nice to see the different genres. I guess even Sunlit Man is kind of more like an action movie in a sense. It's not like as different, but I do really like that. And I do think, yes, the Threnody novel has to be that horrifying type thing. And we'll get into that. So since Shadows for Silence, we have learned a great deal of Cosmere lore about all of this, even though we haven't seen Threnody again at all. And I think we first got to start with ambition and ambition's death, because that's where this all comes from, guys.
Mm-hmm.
What did we learn about ambition so far?
Well, we know Odium went after ambition. Like, ambition was the top of his hit list to start with. Race failed to find her, so went and killed Devotion and Dominion. Little side job, messing with stuff there. Shoved Devotion and Dominion into the cognitive realm and realized that was maybe a bad idea. Later, maybe. And then eventually tracked down ambition. They fought for a while and in different places. Like, ambition was dealt a mortal blow in the Threnodite system, which had effects, and was eventually finally killed elsewhere with the help of Mercy, another shard. And at the point of her death, there is a wound in the spiritual realm, and there's just a massive investiture beacon blaring out that you can detect pretty much anywhere in the Cosmere. Kind of like a North Star of navigation in the cognitive realm.
Yeah, obviously, though, the wound in the spiritual realm has to be that Grand Knell, right? The Great Disturbance, right? Just so we're clear. Oh, and we learned a lot of this in the Arcanum Unbounded Threnodite essay. We learned Mercy's involvement in the Rhythm of War epigraphs. Sazed's epigraphs there, still totally tight. Go reread those, guys. I'm so interested in Mercy's involvement because we have absolutely no idea if it's on like Ambition's side, Odium's side. Sazed says he's concerned about Mercy. That's about it.
Was it not explicit that it was on Odium's side?
The quote says, "That said, the most worrying thing I've discovered in this was the wound upon the spiritual realm where Ambition, Mercy, and Odium clashed, and Ambition was destroyed. The effects on the planet Threnody have been disturbing." So I think that's actually unclear. I do expect like maybe Mercy joined in, or it was like maybe that Mercy killing aspect of like, I mean, Ambition was mortally wounded already. We got to deal with it. But it's unclear, I think.
Yeah. Well, and it's definitely interesting. Like it's a question where Mercy like comes into it. You know what I mean? Like, did Mercy like, I've not got the sense that aside from Bobbin that Odium necessarily has any allies, and even the Bobbin thing is a little vague. So it's hard for me to assume that Odium it's like, all right, I got a buddy for just this one fight, and brought Mercy along. Like it is.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I mean, it could be something where, like, obviously a lot of this just depends on the vessel and, like, what the vessel for Mercy's personality is like, which we have no idea.
No.
But it could be something where maybe Mercy was like, the effects of this battle are going to cause problems for people outside of just these two. Like, if maybe the evil, or I think was the evil created after Mercy or after Ambition was killed?
Ooh, what a great question.
Technically, yes.
It's a little unclear because there is a word of Brandon that kind of implies that Ambition, like that fight with Ambition, caused warping that caused the evil. So basically,
we know that there was investiture on Threnody beforehand, and that investiture changed as a result of the clash between Ambition and Odium in the Threnodite system.
So
we also know the evil arrived later.
So,
yes,
like, maybe Mercy saw the warping and saw that this battle was moving and not necessarily self-contained, because we know that Ambition didn't die where Threnody was. Like, there was some movement there. So maybe Mercy was like, well, I'll intervene as a mercy to the rest of the Cosmere to just end this fight and not let this destruction drag out even further.
Yeah.
Just clarification on a thing I said. I said a little earlier that Sazed was concerned with Mercy, whereas the actual line is Mercy worries me.
Oh my God, Eric, what, you're leading us astray.
I just, no. and the lob I was thinking of, Brandon said, before the clash, the evil was not the evil. It's the clash that warped it. And Secret Project 5 has a splintered piece of Ambition as a plot point. Obviously, the clash where Ambition finally died, like that could just be referring to that. And that's probably the easiest reading, rather than it necessarily warping some Threnody investiture. But
because I don't think that can be it. Because like the evil arrived on Threnody much later.
It has to be, because Ambition's death is so early timeline wise that I think for any of this to work, we can't have like the Threnodites leaving the homeland. Like that can't be 100 years ago, right? For any of the timeline stuff to work, I don't think.
Yeah, well, it's hard because we don't know very well when Shadows happens, right? Like I think we might have like has Brandon even given us like it's between these two books? Like I don't think that we have a great. It feels like
too long.
Like I know it's on somewhere on the global, like the timelines that people have made in Excel spreadsheets, but I think that it's probably one of those with the very least like the least controls on when it happens. What I will say is that I think there's the outside chance. Like I feel like Eric was kind of getting at this, that maybe there was something on the like we don't know where Ambition was before this. Was Ambition on Threnody? Was Ambition somewhere else? And kind of like running along, running through the Cosmere, fighting Odium, and like this is just a place like a setting that they brawled through as they were fighting through the Cosmere. And I could see there being like Ambition having been on this planet and created something that existed in the world, and that gets twisted. But it's like a slow cook. You know what I mean? Like it boils over time. Like maybe there was some investiture beings on the homeland. Everything was cool. And they just started to sour a little bit. And then eventually over the centuries, like it culminated in them becoming the evil. When you get at the evil wasn't always the evil. But I think the easiest answer is it was probably used to be Ambition and then it became the evil.
Yeah.
We do have a timeline detail for Shadows for Silence, actually.
What is the detail? What is the detail?
It is after Elantris, Emperor's Soul, Era 1, and Warbreaker. So it's after Warbreaker, but before Stormlight and Era 2.
Okay, that
Okay.
gives us like couple hundred years.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense because I think the thing I'm thinking of is like in Secret History, like wasn't Alonoi was like saying, oh, the Threnodites want to come on the world stage or something like that, right?
The forces of Threnodite seek to play. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a
And then
little
we
interesting.
see that those forces are the Night Brigade, and it's like, yeah, those are forces that you should take very seriously.
Well,
Yeah. Although that implies to me though that maybe Threnody, that this is happening before Era 1, you know, if like that's what we're meant to take away from that. You know what I mean?
Well, we don't know where in relation to like the Night Brigade expedition back to the homeland takes place in conjunction with Silence, because like Silence lives in the middle of the forest. She's not like integrated with like the plans of the fort cities of like we're sending an expedition back. Don't know how famous that is.
I think that would be very famous, actually. If they sent an expedition back that was wrecked, you know, like that would be, they'd be like, oh yeah, we tried to recolonize the homeland and it didn't work. And I don't think that it has to be that way, but my assumption is that the novel takes place after this short story.
I would agree. And I think the short story is only like a couple generations removed from them fleeing the homeland, right? It's not...
Yeah.
It's a little unclear exactly when, because I actually had a question when I was reading it, because the Four Scouts, so Silence's grandmother, is like exploring the forests of hell for like the first time, right?
She was the first of the first. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It wasn't clear to me whether she was exploring that before the evil went to the homeland or after. That's not clear at all.
I have to assume that it was before because they have lore. Like they've got books from the like. I feel like they're talking about like books that they had talking about how it was hell that I assume came from the homeland. You know what I mean? There was something in there that made me think that it was enough time that they had been writing stuff about the forests of hell on the homeland, and then something had happened.
The impression I had is that like the forests of hell like had been like explored to a certain extent by the homeland. Enough to know that like, we don't want to go here.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
And then like Silence's grandparents were like the first wave of like stuff's going down on the homeland. Like we need to go settle the forests of hell.
Mm.
Like they are the first wave to like
kind of disagree with that.
There.
Like, I think both is reasonable.
You know?
Yeah.
Like they're talked about as scouts, so it doesn't feel to me like they necessarily are settlers. You know, like to me it feels like they would have been checking it out. But the timeline is fuzzy. You know, like I don't think this got a Karen review before. I don't think Karen worked for Brandon yet in 2013. So
it's
and somehow Zellion is bringing people to Canticle during this time as well.
We will definitely talk about that. That's wild. I think it is plausible that the evil starting to come destroy the homeland took some time. Like you could imagine an entity comes to the homeland and like it's not like a total ruin. And so there is potentially time to like for some enterprising people to say, hey, that's bad. Let's go scout this other place. I think it's also reasonable that they scouted it. Then the evil came. And because they had the Four Scouts, they're like, well, I mean, at least I guess this is less bad. Right. Like I think both is super plausible.
I'll just read the line because I think it kind of says, you know, you can read it a lot of different ways.
Sure.
Four Scout blood, stubborn to the last breath. They say your grandparents were the first of the first people to come to scout this continent, the first to homestead the forest, the first to stake a claim on hell itself.
Yeah, I guess it could still be like, say evil arrives, they're scouting, and then like maybe the Exodus happens like 10 years later. Like that's potentially possible, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think it answers it. I think you can read that a lot of different ways.
That's a good line. I will say my impression reading Shadows for Silence, at least from a narrative perspective, there is that reference that Silence's grandmother says that, oh, the Four Scouts, we're going to take back the homeland. And I feel like there's enough narrative seeds that, yeah, the expedition to the homeland will happen later. Like maybe within a generation. Like, I think that's pretty reasonable. But like narrative wise, that makes sense to me.
Surprise, the Admiral is William Ann's daughter.
Would be crazy. That would actually be tight.
There is like a word of Brandon about like, oh, is the Admiral from a family we know? That Brandon doesn't answer. That I'm like,
yeah.
I think she's a Four Scout.
I mean, if Four Scouts are supposedly the people who are going to defeat the evil, right? You're going to have a Four Scout on that expedition, right?
Yeah. You would want it at least for like, even if it's just a thing that people say, you would want it for like, and we're gonna, and we're gonna do it. Like,
it's like our good luck charm at the very least,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of make people feel, they seem like kind of a superstitious people, believe it or not.
Well, I can't imagine why.
Like, is it superstitious if it's actually true?
It's like, it's one thing to have things in your lore, but if you have these giant entities, these monstrosities that you call the evil, it's like, yeah, that's bad. And then, oh, well, we left and now we're in hell. And this is bad. Oof. Yeah. So I had some thoughts with the overall timeline. I agree with the timeline of when the evil happened, because I was convinced that like Shadows for Silence can't happen so far in the past that it's so close to Ambition's death. Like, that's crazy. Like, that can't be the case, right? Odium has to already be on Roshar doing crap after Ambition's death. So, like, that's way long ago. So, kind of my thought, here's kind of my grand timeline piecing things together. So, Odium found Ambition. Ambition was on Threnody. Presumably, like, there's some, I don't know. There's some investiture on Threnody. It easily could be Ambition. I'm not sold on that necessarily. But regardless, there was a clash in the Threnodite system, spanned all three realms. There was warping that happened to Threnody. That, I think, is pretty firm. I think that warping is what caused the shades.
Yes.
But we'll talk more about shade creation later. Then Ambition goes elsewhere to where the Nell now is. And then that final clash happened. Ambition died. We get these entities that are anti-investiture. The reason why I'm pretty sure that the shades have to be the earlier warping is because there's a line that says negative investiture would kill a shade. And so like it can't be the same as like the entities, right? I think
that's a good point.
So
and that's the other big thing that we didn't mention about the clash is that a lot of Ambition seem to have turned into anti-investiture,
which is crazy.
Sometime around that. Yeah.
That's wild. They seem really nice to deal with, as we've seen. So yeah, I think that just makes a little more sense. The shades are from the warping from the clash, but then we get these anti-investiture entities of various types, maybe some negative, some positive. Who knows what the Threnodite entities, the categorization is? We have no idea. The entities, we have a quote in Emberdark how they were around where the Nell was and then went to nearby Threnody. So the quote here is, so if you wanted to go to the Nell, then great. You could just follow the current. Unfortunately, eldritch entities born of a god's death tended to haunt the area immediately surrounding the Nell. So visiting it in Naz's homeworld nearby was not advised. So that doesn't necessarily give a temporal, like a temporal thing, but I think it's pretty clear that some entities came from Ambition's death site, went to Threnody. I can see the evil coming there just because whatever Ambition investitures there, even before the clash, I think that's reasonable that it's going for that. Maybe that's in the homeland and they went to the homeland rather than hell. I don't know.
Because they're drawn by investiture, correct? That's something we learned in Emberdark.
At least the type 1/6 ones are. Who's to say what the other types?
Oh, yeah. What let's speculate on the type. No.
Jesus. No. So that's kind of my timeline. So that gives some 1,000 years or whatever after Ambition death, before the evil arrives. And then we have 100 years before Shadows for Silence or something like that.
Oh, I think there needs to be more time between.
There probably does, but we have at least 1,000 years.
Several thousand years.
There probably does, yeah.
Yeah. My only thing is I generally adhere to Ambition was not settled on Threnody.
I could beat by that.
A drive-by, blood spatter across Threnody.
Yeah, I can believe that.
How I've always felt.
I've gone back and forth on that, but I think I'm starting to lean towards it, especially because in Wind and Truth, there's a mention of multiple planets being destroyed by Odium Ambition fighting, and there's not a massive asteroid ring, I believe, in Threnody. So
I totally forgot this line in
here. I was trying to find it in Emberdark, and I'm like, what's the other book that came out recently? Let me check that
Wind
one.
and Truth. Yeah.
This is from Interlude 18 Conflux.
Sure.
It's one of the Odium's interlude.
Fun.
He's talking about the history of the power. But he says, so he talks about imprisoning Devotion, Dominion, yada yada, how cataclysmic that was. And he says, then by attacking a shard outright, an action which had left him wounded and had in the clash destroyed planets.
Okay.
So I this is I'm probably not an original idea, but at this point I'm starting to wonder if perhaps the scar is just the path traced by their fight. You know, and that's what's going on.
For sure.
Them just brawling across the Cosmere, messing up planets, messing up stars, just devastating a whole region of it.
Yeah.
That's the best explanation for what the scar is that I've heard.
I think that fits kind of what I said earlier about Mercy, that maybe Mercy jumped in because this, Mercy doesn't necessarily care about the clash between individual shards, but this was so devastating to the Cosmere as a whole that Mercy jumped in because if she let it continue, it was a mercy to the rest of the universe to just end it one way or another.
That's a good point. If they're destroying planet after planet, Mercy might be okay, this needs to stop, now, as opposed to our selfish shards that will not leave their home worlds that we know much better.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. My thought was just if there would have been more of an impact to Threnody if they were, because specifically the clash was happening in the void of space, not on the planet.
Yeah, sure.
And if she was settled there, it would be happening on the planet. And there's no asteroid belt in the Threnodite system.
There you go.
I think the mercy killing aspect is a really good idea because in Wind and Truth, we're definitely seeing how a direct Sharda conflict, we're seeing what easily could be, right? And just a quick one broke the planes, right? I mean, there's Fourth Moon stuff. We don't need to get into that. But it's really easy to be devastating really fast, right? And so if Honor and Odium clashed, you can totally see how Roshar's wrecked, right? And you can I can also see if Taravangian fled and Dalnar went after Odium, you could see how multiple planets would be destroyed. I think that all makes sense. So I really like that with the scar. I think it should have scars on the physical realm, and we have the wound in the spiritual, and then it has those effects in the cognitive with the current. I think that works really well.
One thing that I had forgotten, Eric, until you read the quote about the wound in the spiritual realm and Sazed saying that its effects on, what does he say exactly? I want to read it again.
The effects on the planet Threnody have been disturbing.
See, I was reading that. And I'm is he talking about the shade thing, or is he talking about the effects of the wound on the spiritual realm on Threnody as a separate issue? Is that was what I was oh, is the wound doing something too? Or is he just saying the evil and all that stuff is
That's interesting.
what's going on there. Because I don't know if we've seen anything about the wound in the spiritual realm being a problem, but it seems like that in and of itself is concerning to say not just that there are now entities that exist in the world, but the wound is not something that he's excited about either. But I don't know what that is. It's just interesting.
What's the line from Arcana Unbounded about the Threnodite perpendicularities?
I'm so glad you asked. It is in our document.
Unfortunately,
yes,
visiting the planet is difficult as there is no stable perpendicularity, only very unstable ones that cannot be predicted easily and have a somewhat morbid origin.
And we will get definitely more into detail unless you wanted to talk about it specifically, Grace.
Well, I don't know. I was just thinking about the wound on the spiritual realm and if like the morbid origin was a result of that.
That's interesting. To answer your question, David, I do think this epigraph about the wound on the spiritual realm kind of has a topic. The most worrying thing I discovered was the wound. This is what they clashed. Ambition was destroyed. The effects on the planet Threnody have been disturbing. That does make it sound like he's talking about the wound on the spiritual realm, personally. Mm-hmm. At least like topic wise, like if you imagine that it's a paragraph, right? Like I can kind of buy that. Like that's a complete thought. So hard to say what this wound in the spiritual realm is doing, because that makes it sound like something else other than the evil. But you can see how it could be like, oh, that clash caused Ambitious to be destroyed, and the effects on Threnody have been disturbing.
Yeah. It is nuts. Like the shattering of Aiden Elysium did not do this, but what they did there made the knell. You know what I mean? Like that was more impactful somehow than that.
That's interesting.
Well, we also know like Aiden Elysium didn't necessarily fight back.
Oh, that's one of the best Wind and Truth lines.
Probably because Aiden Elysium could know is like, oh, if I fight back, this would be very bad.
I loved that line from Tanavast. It's like, I knew why Aiden Elysium didn't fight back. Yeah. At the end, like, holy crap, that's such a good line. Wind and Truth has good stuff, cool guys. Really good stuff.
There's really good stuff. There's really good stuff in that book.
Yeah. So, man, I don't exactly know what effects the wound on the spiritual realm has on Threnody.
So do you think the wound is something different from the knell?
No, I think they're the same thing.
I think they're the same thing. It's just, I could imagine a wound on the spiritual realm having effects in like kind of different locations, right? Like if space and time don't matter in this spiritual realm, you can see how that could affect the physical in weird ways unexpectedly, potentially. Mm-hmm. And so I think like the current is an effect in the cognitive realm, whereas there could be different effects in the physical, potentially.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I think the knell is the effect of the clash in the cognitive realm, of the wound in the spiritual realm in the cognitive realm. Like that's what you're seeing there when you detect it is. But the wound in the spiritual realm is presumably a wound that exists.
What does wound on the spiritual realm even mean?
What a great question.
Like I feel like just anti-investiture, like
oh geez, yikes.
I feel like just saying like, oh, like wound on the spiritual means like random places in the physical realm are messed up does feel kind of unsatisfying to me. Like there's not like, yes, location doesn't matter in the spiritual realm, but like I don't know. Like
is it like the core of Ambition's investiture that's still in the spiritual realm is warped in some way?
It's like connected to other Ambition stuff.
Like the identity and connection are messed up? Is it like there's actual anti-investiture somewhere in the spiritual realm? Is it like I feel like I can't even begin to know what a wound on the spiritual realm actually means.
Yeah, I can see why Sazed's concerned because I don't even know how to process that. So that must be fun for him. I do agree, Ian. I'm not expecting like literally random garbage to happen anywhere. At least like Threnody, I think makes sense with like Ambition stuff there. that you can see that there's some connection, and
Yeah, it's just like,
but in general, no.
we already have an explanation for why weird stuff is on Threnody.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
What the hell Say's talking about then?
It's like, but like, yeah, it's just like,
Thinking about what it could mean, I would not be surprised if we get weirdness anywhere Ambition's investiture shows up, even if it's physically far away from Threnody.
That would be an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we do have like the weird inversion of like, why is it anti-investiture so often? You know, like that is maybe that is tied in for some reason. But
I do have a thought on why it's like anti-investiture. Do you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess reading Emberdark, right? There's the moment where Starling goes to face the entity, and Starling's like, "Oh no, but you're actually evil. Like Ed's wrong. Like it does want to destroy, and like there is a malevolence." I think part of that is at the end, Ulada's not happy and is furious. And as her power is getting splintered apart, like she's maybe like commanding it to be anti-investiture with like this rage of death type thing. Like Ulada's commanding this to kind of screw over Odium, I guess. Or Mercy.
Yeah.
Okay, remind me, as I'm forgetting my anti-investiture laws right now. Will anti-investiture of different shards react, or does it have to be the same shard? Do we know?
That's an excellent question that we don't. From reading Rhythm of War, we would have said that anti-investiture only reacts with investiture of the same shard.
Yeah, because they have to make it that way. Yeah.
But reading Emberdark, it seems like it reacts to everything, which is a question mark.
I certainly don't think the entities are unkeyed anti-investiture, right? Like it's ambition stuff, right? Like they would have no way to unkey.
I also think that like a man-made tiny bit of anti-investiture in a dagger could work differently from like a sentient monstrous being that is made of anti-invest. Like that
a shard creates, or the
that feels like it could track. Sure. Like maybe humans can only create anti-investiture that works with similarly like keyed investiture, but for like something as big as an entity, I don't think it necessarily has to be the same.
There's like so much anti-investiture that it just overwhelms whatever is going on, and just
the fact that it has its own identity as like a somewhat sapient sentient being overrides whatever is going on with like the shard. I don't know. I mean, like the dagger, the anti-investiture in the dagger does not have its own identity in the same way an entity does. I think that could change things.
Yeah.
This is a very good question, because I do think the intensifier, that's using unkeyed investiture. So that's not like from a... Well, it probably was from a shard, but you know, they unkeyed it. They did that process. And so they did that with both the positive and negative investiture, which is regular investiture and anti-investiture. Man, this is a very nerdy conversation. I love it. This is Shardcast energy right here.
Yeah. Where I was going with it was, maybe if it does react, maybe Ambition was like, all right, well, if you're going to do this to me, I'm going to turn myself into anti-investiture and wound you. Because we know Odium was wounded in a way that it doesn't seem like it happened before. So like Ambition did something bad to Odium there. There was a counter strike that worked, you know, so that was just a thought that I had.
The counter strike didn't stop counter strikers. It is now counter striking the entire Cosmere.
I mean, I can imagine like a death whale command thing. It's not very specific. It's like, hey, go wreck stuff, and the splinters are like, okay, I'll do that. It's like, all right, nice.
Yeah.
It's maybe possible that in creating the anti-investiture that Ambition made it in such a way that it can react with other investiture. I don't know if I like that, but
no. No.
I don't like that.
Okay. Found this quote. Sorry, we're going to circle back to the nerdy conversation because I knew this. Realized that I was inadvertently not looking in the right place. Okay. Here we go. Anyway, this is Emberdark 54. Anyway, a long time ago, when the Shards were newly born, one named Odium attacked and killed his sibling. A god was destroyed, torn apart, its intent removed.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Okay.
I knew there was a line about the intent being removed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's crazy that happened then, but like honestly, the anti-investiture, that makes more sense to me than the intent removed. But okay, sure.
But like if you remove the intent, then you've essentially got unkeyed
Yeah, then it should react with anything. Yeah, that checks out then. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Don't know how that happened, but sure.
Nope.
You know, honestly, though, that makes the spiritual wounds almost make more sense to me, though, because I'm like, yeah, tearing apart a shard and removing its intent totally seems like the kind of thing that would leave a wound in the spiritual realm.
Yeah, so that makes the question, is there any ambition investiture left?
I mean,
or like, did ambition's intent get removed from everything, even the stuff like outside of her direct control at that moment?
So
that would definitely be a wound in the spiritual realm, like Grace was saying.
So that's a great question. I think that consequence. Sorry. The obvious consequence to that question, Ian, is are shades unkeyed? Like that investiture, right? Because I do think that the investiture from that makeup shades is from that warping from the clash with ambition, right? In near the Threnodite system, right? Mm-hmm. And so if we're saying all ambition stuff, I think that would mean shades, right? I don't know if we know shades are unkeyed, but we do have a line from Deja in chapter 48 where they're talking about how the Silverlight Accords don't deal with shades. And Deja says, he, Naz, will die to negative investiture just like any shade. It's possible that the shades are like that entire intent is removed. I think that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
There's a line I want to find in Sunlit Man.
Yeah, I did a lot of word searching, but
in Sunlit Man, I can't remember if ambition is specifically called out or not, but I know there's a line in Sunlit Man where Ox says there is enough extra investiture in these parts is not explained by the tiny amount that is extra from them having shades. And I can't remember if it's specifically called out as ambitions investiture or not in that line.
I know exactly what you're talking about. So it doesn't really help for this conversation, but the thing you're thinking of is in chapter 13, where Ox is saying 1 soul's worth, even with a shade attached, wouldn't be enough for us to absorb over 1,000 BUs of investiture like we did. So there must be some other force filling the stone, the sun hearts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like speculating the sunlight must be invested. So I knew exactly what you were talking about. We did research for this episode, guys. I didn't reread Sunlit or Emberdark, though. That's too much work.
That would have been crazy.
That would have taken too long.
I word searched everything I could, though, from those.
It's hard because they're like it's lots of like small references kind of like interlaced in the book. You know, it's a tricky one.
That's why all 4 of us are here. What do we remember?
Yeah. It's a collective effort.
Yes.
Though interesting that it's a shade attached to the soul.
That's a really weird phrasing to that, I would say. I don't know how seriously we should take that, because also in Sunlit Man, Ox does just speculate in chapter 7. Perhaps this group of Threnodites just split off before the Shard's death, and the event's after effects took them. And that's just wrong, right? Like, we know the chorus, dealt with the evil, and
And
fled
also, that is
after them.
a wildly early point, just split off from the Threnodites.
Ox is allowed to be wrong and not use precise terminology here. That's fine. I did have a thought about Mercy with the battle. And I wonder from Mercy's perspective, Mercy wasn't coming in any one side in particular, right? She's seeing this damage go across. I really like this headcanon. I think this is good. And it's just like, I need to put a stop to this. So I got to kill one of them. And she's not, she hasn't really decided. I do think it makes sense that Odium would be concerned with ambition, you know, as an intent, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting that Mercy went to ambition and not Odium, right? It's possible ambition was more wounded than Odium was, and so that made the calculus easier. But I could kind of see a world where if they're both like kind of evenly hurt, then, you know, you could go for either. Although I guess actually it was a mortal wound in the Threnodite essay, it's Odium clash with and mortally wounded the Shard ambition here. So ambition would be more wounded than Odium, I think.
Yeah. It's interesting to imagine what a mortal wound looks like on a Shard. You know, like, do they just how long does that take to kill them? But anyway,
I do think we need to see a clash like this at some point on screen, like in, you know, Honor versus Odium. Dalinar, you know, stepped away from that, right? But I do think I want to see this battle across the three realms in
Valor
POV
versus Retribution, maybe.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I feel like that's gonna be Mistborn space era.
Yeah, where we can really start wrecking stuff on a Shardic level. Yeah, hell yeah.
You could get a big flashback at some point.
Yeah,
you know.
Or like there's space fleets clashing and shards clashing in the same space. So like, like the ships also have to deal with all like the distortion from the Shardic clash.
That is exactly what I want so much.
It would be very cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking, it's true. The other thing that I was thinking too was Wind and Truth definitely reframed some of my perspective on how important the pre-existing relationships between the vessels were, especially in the early days before they started to really lose themselves in their intents, you know? And so I could easily see like, you know, like that being a factor in who Mercy decides to help as well, depending on when Mercy joined the conflict.
Maybe Ulida was already kind of an outsider for being like a Shodel.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she was an outsider.
I
think there's a line in Wind and Truth about like I think somebody saying like, oh, we knew Ulida was going to be a problem.
That's Oathbringer epigraphs.
Yeah, that is
Oathbringer letter.
That is endowment potentially talking.
Yeah, it was obvious from the outset that she was going to be a problem. Good riddance.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. That's anti-Shodel human propaganda, but it's fine.
Do we know if there are any other Shodel shards?
Chanko Star.
There we go. Invention.
We don't know if Chanko Star is. It feels very Shodel.
Where does that name come up?
That's Wind and Truth.
It comes up in Wind and Truth.
When Honor's looking for allies. This is a word of David. That's gotta be a Shodel.
I definitely looked at that and was like, that's a Shodel name. But also like Shodel names are usually 2 words and that one is 3.
Yeah, it's weird.
Most Condor names are too syllabic, and then we get Palm. You know, Brandon likes to break his rules. That is literal nonsense. Thank you.
Wow, I do love having this cast because we have so many things that we've talked about over the years that the listeners have no idea what we're talking about with
concerning.
Palm, but like Palm, I know exactly what that's talking about. That, and I think the Wob that did say that were like, I hate that.
Yeah.
We're going back.
Anyway,
yes.
Circling back to our topic, my other kind of thought, and I don't think this is necessarily true, was if ambition wasn't invested on Threnody, maybe Mercy was. you know, and it's like a drive-by, and she's like, oh my gosh, like I gotta get involved in this, you know.
What the hell? You just sprayed blood all over my nice planet.
Yeah, my people are being twisted, you know, something's going on here. And the only other like little piece of evidence I have that maybe there's another Shards infestor involved is there's kind of a weird wob that I've got that I pulled up here where Brandon, he does not come out and say it. But let's see, where's our... I've got to put a comment on it so I would be able to find it again. There we go. This is from Steel Dancer from 2018. On Threnody, the Shades, their eyes turn red when they get really mad. Is it the same thing as with the Voidbringers and all the other ones? Brandon, I have a sub-theme in the Cosmere of the redness, and it's supposed to be intentional. So is it the same thing? It is the same theme, but I do not mean to imply it's the same shard, but it's the same effect. Brandon, yes, I'm doing it intentionally. Red eyes specifically are meant to mean something, but I use in a few different ways the same one. So I am reading that as shade red eyes hint at corrupted investiture, which to me means there's got to be two shards involved in whatever's going on with shades. But
it's possible, yeah.
It doesn't have to be Mercy. It could be latent Adenalcium stuff, like old god stuff, like Wind and Truth. Like it could be that.
Yeah. My thought is that like if Mercy had been settled there, why didn't she go back? And
you can't
Would you want to go back to Threnody, Ian?
It's like maybe this place sucks. It's like, ooh, I cannot actually help this and solve this problem. So
there is also purity in the Threnodite system, because like so there's 3. If you look at the star chart from Arcanum Unbounded, there are 3 like terrestrial planets: Monody, Elegy, and Threnody, one of which has a moon, Coronach, which like there's a fun pattern of like death poems and death songs. And then there's just a gas giant way out there called Purity, which
it's like dark red.
It is more red, and it's like that's a more shardy name. And it doesn't match the the pattern of the other celestial bodies. So what's going on there? So like that was definitely like, is that a shard name? And Brennan was cagey about it.
It is just so funny when you're like star chart, and I'm like, I had already gotten this up like just 30 seconds before you mentioned it. I'm like, I'm ready to go.
This is a little only sort of tangentially related.
That's fine.
But do we think the Threnodites use virtue names? I wonder if there's any like the connection to Shardic Intense, if there's any like particular Shardic Intense that is favored, or if there's any that are like culturally off limits, like culturally, even though it's a virtue name, it's considered bad form to name your child Mercy or something weird like that. That would kind of be an interesting thing to...
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know.
Especially as I become more aware of the shards. It's always like some planets seem very aware and some planets seem to be completely in the dark about them.
I'm so glad you said that, because that segues perfectly into what I wanted to say next is in Shadows for Silence, I feel very low knowledge, although interesting that they talk about the God Beyond. That's interesting. But
not Mercy.
On Sunlit Man, we have Adenalcium will remember our plight eventually. And so it's possible that other groups of Threnodites, do know more about Adenalcium. And I'm going to take that as oblique evidence that it was maybe Adenalcium investiture that was on the planet first. So there.
I do think a group of Threnodites whose ancestors flew away on a spaceship. We don't know how Zellion got them off-world. Maybe it was a spaceship. Maybe it was through the Guarded Realm. Who knows? I'm going to go with spaceship. Would just naturally be more Cosmere aware.
It does make sense. It's possible.
I just had the thought of, we don't know how Zellion got them off-world. What if we see Zellion and he's a cult leader and they have some sort of ritualistic murder thing to open one of the morbid perpendicularities or something?
I do think it's a ritualistic murder thing, though. I think that's probably what it is.
I definitely think it's a death sacrifice.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe, but then how do you get in? Like, you can't know that someone's going to do a death sacrifice on the other side. You
Lucky.
know, like that's
You got to be
you can't
lucky.
be that lucky. You can't be that lucky. That's a little too.
That's why Naz hasn't
Maybe
come back.
like the portal stays open for a few days.
Or it's like there's ways it can happen on accident, but also if you know what you're doing, you can do a ritualistic death sacrifice to intentionally open it.
Maybe the death sacrifice
that.
works in its subastral. I'm sure its subastral's super nice, guys.
Yeah. Well, we know it's not. At least the part of it that corresponds to the homeland is not bad. Which, like, rereading the Threnodite system essay, there are definitely parts of this that are like, I don't know how accurate this is post Emberdark, in the same way that like the Dromonad essay doesn't quite jive. Because like Chris is all like, oh, like the larger of the two was abandoned. The planet is home to two continents. The larger of the two has been abandoned to something known as the evil, a force that even Nas can speak of only in vague terms, a creeping darkness, a terrible force that consumed the entirety of the continent, feasting upon the souls of men. I do not know how much of this is metaphoric and how much literal. Expeditions sent from the smaller continent to explore have vanished, and the place is dangerous to visit even in the continent. So I suppose that's not a point. Going back to like, oh, everybody would know if we sent an expedition that all died. It's like, if they've been sending those consistently and they've all just vanished, not newsworthy. But yeah, so clearly in writing this essay, Chris doesn't know the evil is ambition, negative investiture entities.
Yeah, true. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's hard to say when exactly these essays were written has always been a little bit of a question mark, and maybe they need a slight retune if we ever get Arcanum Unbounded, like leather bound. I don't even know, you know.
It's the 2.0 essay that Chris just staples on later. That'd be really funny.
Like, I think if that's written in like early days before Silverlight universities are like a super big thing, then that doesn't necessarily. Like, that just seems like a lot of, like, early Threnodite knowledge, not necessarily, like, what we see in... I think they could have learned more between when that was written and when, you know...
Yeah.
It's like happens.
Generally speaking, like, we had been in the understanding, like, all of the essays were written around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Dromonad feels later now. You know, knowing the name of that planet.
Yeah, Dromonad just feels weird now.
I'm just gonna exclude the Dromonad one from my mind. I can see this kind of being written around Secret History time. That feels like about the level of Chris Naz knowledge. Like maybe a bit later, but like something like that, right?
Yeah, it definitely feels like Chris is exploring the Cosmere as opposed to being somebody who's developed a science, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas like Sunlit Man and Emberdark are way further forward, right? So
yeah.
And I would say this essay does kind of indicate that around this time, the entities haven't really left Threnody, right? They're not really an issue from there, right?
Or at least it's not well known.
Sure.
You know, what that, like about, although, yeah, it seems like they're tough to survive. You know, if one shows up, maybe you just don't hear about it.
You know, it's very possible you just die and you don't. Yeah.
You know, there's still life on Threnody. Not everyone has either died or fled yet, so there's no reason for them to leave yet.
Yeah. So like I could see this, like this is still relatively early.
Yeah.
There's not mass transit through the cognitive realm.
Yeah, caravans sometimes, and it's maybe. Like, yeah.
So yeah, like sure there's a caravan and like it never shows up where it's supposed to go because they encountered an entity like coming in from the unsea.
Yeah.
And it just wiped them out.
Yeah, and I mean, you wouldn't necessarily be surprised because it's fairly difficult to, you know, like get supplies. Like they could just run out of supplies or something, right? You wouldn't be surprised if a caravan didn't show up when you expected. But fun. That paragraph is interesting because, like, the feasting upon souls of men, I can definitely see the evil, like, eating the investiture in those souls of the Threnodites, right? Like, I can totally buy that. That, like, this is a metaphorical religious slant to it, but it's like, yeah, they are eating the ambition stuff. Like, yeah, I want that.
So there is kind of one question we have of, like, the entities are, like, going out from the Nell. They found Threnody, and they kind of wrecked stuff on the homeland. Why haven't they followed them, like the humans, to the continent of Hell?
Yeah.
Is a question. This is a terrible thought that you're probably going to hate, but it technically works because we know entities try to avoid people because they don't want to be trapped by their perception.
Sure.
So what if the entities on the homeland are trapped on the homeland because the people in Hell are like, oh, the evil is on the homeland?
I do hate that. That is true. But it is funny and it does technically work. So I do appreciate all of that.
It does technically work. There might be like more like a better way to explain that. That's not as stupid. But...
Sure.
See, I was actually in a more serious way kind of thinking that, because like maybe it's a slight reframe, but like maybe like they fled across the ocean believing they could be safe on the other side of the ocean. So maybe that's what it is. They're like, as long as we're on the other side of the ocean, safe, you know, like we're safe from the evil. We've crossed the ocean. It won't follow us, you know, and like that, like they believe that so strongly that it doesn't, you know,
and everyone else is dead.
Or like part of that, or like it could be something like the evil like took the homeland.
Sure.
And like,
sure.
Like there was a link there, kind of like linking it. But also like we'll be safe across the sea because we're no longer on the homeland where the evil is.
Maybe it just hasn't been long enough, and like, you know, the homeland was only destroyed a couple generations ago. Maybe the evil is gonna make it to the forest of Hell someday in the near future.
I actually do think that will eventually happen.
The entities are just
they're just really slow.
They're slow, or they're doing the Pirates of the Caribbean, walking on the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, with all the spooky arms, just like walking below the ocean. Oh, that's creepy.
Well, you could invert it too and say, why did maybe this will get us towards some other stuff. Why did the shades ever walk across the ocean the other way? I don't know if they'd float across the water or if they'd go beneath the sea, but you're like, why did they stay on their continent? You know, maybe there's something up with the oceans, or it could even be like they've got like on Threnody, they had a pre-existing belief about like evil not being able to cross water. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a lot of belief stuff that could be
thing.
That would fit with the simple rules.
Yeah. I've always wondered just like why the evil was in the homeland. And so I do like the idea that there's some investiture there that's drawing them to the homeland. It does kind of make me wonder about the shades and like why shades are only on the other continent and not the homeland, which we're going to talk about a bit later when we get into more shade stuff. But I think that's a good reason why they are at the homeland. And I do think actually that maybe the evil did get across the ocean eventually. But on the other hand, like it does seem like the shades are pretty well known. Like Deja's like, yeah, shades. I mean, granted, there is the Night Brigade, so, you know, they're obviously a force that are concerning to people. So people are aware of shades, but...
And, like, Sigzil isn't, talks about Threnody, like, as a place, not as the dead world Threnody.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe they did destroy everything, Eric, or...
I guess what I'm thinking about is... Deja's line that a shade would die to negative investiture, that like at least the evil's not being repelled by the shades, you know, it's like that's not a problem for them. Like
for sure. Yeah.
Right. So
No,
in that sense, if they want ambition investiture stuff and to eat investiture, like I don't see a reason why they couldn't eventually get to hell. I do think even currently there are probably some pockets of people in the homeland, and I think that there would be pockets
They're
in
having a rough time.
Oh, I don't expect it to be good, but like, you know, you could imagine some way that like some pockets are surviving, just like there's some pockets that are surviving in the forests of hell, you know?
That would be nuts, honestly, to like for them to get back and like just assume that everybody was dead, and then they like get there and there are people still living there, like
Or being
even
warped.
worse life.
Yeah, even worse. Yeah.
Then they like assumed anybody could have.
Like you can't just have
you
a
know?
novel of them going to a continent and having no one there and just creepy entities. Like you gotta have some characters. You could.
I think the part of Brandon that loves Dark Souls and Elden Ring would have a lot of fun with that.
That's true. I think there will be some people, and there are some people still on Threnody, even if the evil gets across. So I don't know. I just don't exactly understand why the evil wouldn't go across the continent to slurp up all the shades, you know, like take that stuff.
Yeah, it would be. It would be just as good a food as a person, I have to assume.
Maybe we get like a sort of like my mind kind of goes to a bit like Craster in Game of Thrones of like you sacrifice someone like to the evil regularly and like they stay away. I don't know how, but like you could get something like that if in the homeland maybe.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
like
that could be
going
fun.
back to like the belief, like does the evil like get worshipped as a god? And it's like, oh, we'll spare the ones that worship us.
That would be kind of cool. Can I just read the line from Sunlit Man describing the evil? Just
Was
so we've got it
literally
for
just
people?
thinking of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Please do.
Yeah. All right, here it is. Chapter 15, Sunlit Man. Let's see. Yada yada. They're talking about the Canticleites are talking about how they were chased by the evil. Yada yada. Sigil says, "It's still there," he said, "on your homeworld. I've seen it. Well, the manifestations of it. Wild, unchained investiture come to life with its own alien will, forming mountain-sized figures with impossible, unnerving features and unknown motivations. Threnody was not a place one visited to relax."
Interesting that they all haven't left Threnody at this time, at least as far as Sigil knows.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of interesting. You could imagine that these entities that went to Threnody are kind of trapped there and are not the ones that are roaming the Cosmere from the Nell. Like, I think that makes sense to me.
Maybe these are 1-4 entities and they work slightly differently.
You know, honestly.
Yeah, Ed says like the entities like avoid like civilization or else they could get trapped. So they have to have been trapped somewhere.
Yeah, I struggle to fit those two facts together. I've been wrestling with that a little bit, like when we've been doing research with this, between being drawn to investiture and like wanting to consume souls and also wanting to avoid people and being perceived, you know? And maybe that the answer to that is you don't hang around very long before you start killing people, you know? And like that's what you got to do. But
I think that gets into like the alien intelligence of them, where they can have conflicting drives, where it's like, yeah, they want to, like, they have a biological need to seek out investiture and consume it. They also know it's a bad idea to go to like, I'm going to hunt down like the one-offs that are safe. I'm not going to go to like the big feast over there because they couldn't fuck me up.
I can buy just that as these entities are forming nearby Threnody, they're like, hey, food, lots of it. let's go. And then other entities are watching and just like, oh, that's maybe not the best idea, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I could see different scales of entities existing, or some of them are easier to be changed versus others, depending on how much adventure they have. And I do like the unknowable motivation, Ian, where you're like, okay, they've got these competing drives, and we really can't predict which one's going to win out at any point. Like, you know, like it could decide to stay away, or it could decide, oh my God, it's coming right now. And we don't know why it decided that it was the move, but it is, you know?
I'm just imagining a story where like you're on Roshar and then it's just like 10 entities come down. It's like, okay, we're not having a good time. Okay.
You do not want to be on like a regular, like low investiture planet, you know, and how like you've got very few options if an entity comes knocking.
It's so bad. Yeah. I do love this description from Sunlit Man, though. This is why we're like, we have to do this. We have to do this episode. But mountain-sized figures, it's genuinely terrifying.
What do you do?
Like, whatever... I'm liking the idea that Threnody has this, like, low magic type thing. And maybe there was a bit more in the homeland, but, like, you know, not too much. Maybe some entity like wind or night or whatever, right? Sure.
Maybe.
But then you're just these giant entities come like, okay, what do we do? Be anywhere else. Yeah, that checks out.
Oh yeah, even a planet like Scadrial, like I kind of be like, what would you do? You know, like you need like a bondsmith or somebody who's like gonna do some crazy shenanigans. I feel like to handle something like that.
I mean, realistically, you'd need your shard to help, right? Like that, if that would be the main thing. That might be something entities actually fear, right? Is
a shard.
Shard.
Maybe that's what Mercy's doing, is like kind of trying to like sweep up the dust of the entities around the Cosmere, you know, maybe that's what they're up to.
That would be an insane thing where the Mercy world is just like she's drawing entities there and wrecking them. That would be pretty sick.
It's like she's the person who like captures the spider and gently lets it outside, or like in her terrarium planet of just like, I'm just gonna grab the.
And like grabbing a bunch of entities. Oh my God, that's awesome. That's a book idea, Brandon, who's obviously listening to this.
And Brandon have so many more book ideas. Yeah,
he doesn't have a lot to write. So that kind of leads to the question of what the motivations are of the evil. Like obviously, we don't really know. We can't know. They are these alien things. Where is this thing from
horror?
Emberdark? Like, yeah, so in Emberdark 27, when Starling's coming down, like revealing the dragonness, I'm just going to read this for a bit because it's really cool, actually. Nobody knew quite what these things were, the entities that had all but destroyed the planet Threnody, then moved out into the Cosmere, hunting and exterminating life. Perhaps they searched for that which had been taken from them in the death of the god they'd once been a part of. Starling saw in the ripped out hollows where their eyes should have been a future. Starling, aged and withered, in her human form, lying bedridden, someplace dark, watching the sky, dying alone with those cursed manacles still locked on her wrists. She saw the truth that she would never be free again, that she'd be exiled not to learn a lesson, but because she'd embarrassed powerful people who wanted to make others afraid to do anything similar. A sinking despair struck her. Then she rejected that emotion. Her people lived to inspire others. They didn't always live up to their own ideals, but the best of them, like her uncle, spent their entire existences sending comfort, confidence, and compassion to those who prayed to them. Starling was accustomed to deliberate manipulation of emotions, so she understood. You could have come upon this family much faster, she whispered, looking into the thing's terrible face. But you advanced slowly. You could have killed me, but you stopped and showed me a terrible future. You don't just want me dead. You want me broken and terrified first. Naz is right. And for once, Ed is wrong. You're not just some force of nature. You're evil. So tight.
Yeah. I love that. Because as soon as they were doing the Ed thing where Ed was like, it's not even it's just a thing. I was like, oh, that's kind of a letdown. And then to have it like kind of, reverse really quickly, I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is so cool.
There's definitely something where it's like you're measuring and like you're seeing the effects and like, yeah, they're aliens, but like we don't really know their motivation versus seeing and experiencing them. Right. So yeah, it makes sense.
And like in science, you're often not trying to put like value judgments on things, especially like the hard science, And so it's not like you're like, and these are evil. You're categorizing, you're cataloging, you're doing all this stuff, and so you're probably less likely to kind of like assign it something like that. Whereas someone like Starling can look at it and be like, yeah, this thing is evil. Like,
I guess this quote kind of indicates a way for people to live in the homeland, because sometimes there could just be a group and the evil just wants them to be more terrified and broken before they kill them. Right.
I guess like 100 years like that. That is a slow burn.
Probably some are more like aggressive and some are more like, yeah, we're going to break your very soul and then take you type thing. Like, I'm sure there's variance here. But
we're promised there are.
Yes, several, in fact. I don't even know what 1-6 means. It's like, are we going to get like, is it like a two-way chart?
When you put two numbers on there, I was like, Brandon, you are setting up at minimum like
36 of these guys.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Get ready for that. Ars Arcanum when he breaks down the entity types.
It's just a big table, like the Allomantic table. That's good.
1-3s are nice. Yeah.
Like, hearing that quote, I keep trying to connect it somehow to like the crushing of Starling's ambition, or I don't know that really works though.
Yeah, I don't know if it quite works.
Yeah, I can't tie the hatred of life and like the malevolence necessarily to ambition, which I find really interesting, and we know that the intent was removed. So I'm just like, where is this malevolence coming from? And maybe it is Uli Daw's final moments or whatever.
I think that's the only thing that makes sense. Like whatever command, like that command and visualization on a Shardic level is like granting these awakened air quotes things, in a much higher scale, like that knowledge, like this mini intent there, but it's not ambition stuff anymore.
That would be a good question for Brandon. Would be, did ambition mean to create the entities?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Or would the ambition from before her fight with Odium be happy about what happened with the entities, or would she be horrified?
Yeah.
So we've been talking about like this entities as ambition's final sort of feelings, final command.
Yeah.
I had this thought of, what if in those final moments, ambition placed herself not in the role of the entity, but in the role of like the way the entities were making the people feel like their hope was crushed, and like what if it was almost like the entities were how Odium made her feel in those final moments?
Yeah,
I don't know
like there is like a little bit of a hate through line, especially with like the emotions and stuff. Yeah.
I can kind of see it going either way, where in her final moments she was like angry and sent out this command of, unintentionally or intentionally to destroy all life, or in her final moments she felt that crushing despair the same way the entities make other people feel, and it was Odium that like felt like the predator, felt like the one who was going to destroy, and something about that echoed through the entities.
That's a really interesting thought. I could definitely see that.
The entities like were once part of this grand thing. That grand thing is now dead and gone. What if they're trying to remake it by like recreating the circumstances of what they know of her, which was this like terror.
Oh boy. Oh, oof.
I'm not getting on board for another shard reforming theory after being burned by honor.
Yeah.
We're gonna find out that ambition was never splintered in 2045. Everybody,
Maybe Mercy's entity terrarium, which we all that's canon, obviously, is just her trying to form the entities into like a mini ambition ball. And she's like, hey,
this
cool.
piece go here.
Yeah.
It's
wild.
The epilogue of Mistborn Space Era Book 3 is just going to be ambition like in a coffee shop. It's the scene from Dark Knight Rises when Alfred sees Bruce Wayne like in the cafe, silent. She's Bruce Wayne just sitting. She's been here the whole time.
Who's Alfred in this?
Alfred is Hoyd. Alfred is Hoyd.
And Uladon's just like, yeah, you know what I went through. And Hoyd's like, yeah, I know.
That's Ian's pitch for the last scene of the Cosmere, everybody.
That's my favorite last scene of the Cosmere.
I'm so in line with things you've said, Ian, because I'm like, he's going to mention Dark Knight Rises and it did. It's good.
I wasn't originally. I got there through the process.
That's so funny.
I mean, Ulada is a entity. Sorry, a vessel. I'm sorry. You can't use different words because Brandon's used all the words. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Brandon uses words.
Yeah,
Yes,
I know.
he does.
But I'm just fascinated with Ulada. You know, just why is endowment just like, yeah, good riddance to that?
See, it's gonna be it's gonna be racism. Like, we're gonna hit Dragonsteel, and Ulada will be the most sympathetic character, and it's just racism.
Maybe.
Yeah, we're just piling on the human side. I know. These better be the only 16 characters in this book, Brandon. We're going to need to focus up on them in their relationship.
I know.
17 or maybe 18. We'll include Frost. That's it.
Yeah. We do need 18.
Yeah.
18.
No, we need 19 for the Aiden Alzian POVs.
Oh, of course. The Internalsium POV. The Internalsium POV interludes. That will obviously
There's
be in
the
there.
16 Void Frost,
Not really.
Aiden Alzian. So those are our 19 characters.
I
in this
like
book.
imagining Hoyd, because I think Brandon's saying like it's going to be like Hoyd telling the story, but just like not in the style of like Tress or Yumi, but like he's still telling a story, just a different style one. But just imagining Hoyd just goes to like, and now through my inexplicable storytelling powers, let's do an Aiden Alzian scene where we're in God's head. It's very funny to
That was
me.
so funny. That was so funny. That's a good point, though. We won't get traditional POVs.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tress and Yumi shows that like it can definitely be good, but a more epic version of that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. It's just sometimes I forget that he's planning on it being a Hoyd narration style story.
Yeah. One more thing on the evil. I'm looking back in Emberdark 25, and Ed's talking about the entities and the evil, and he's saying too many people thinking it wards them away. They hate getting trapped and changed by the thoughts of mortals. At least that's how it is unless you're close to the Knell. So it's almost interesting that at least this is making it sound like thinking is repellent almost, you know? Like, I don't know how intentional that necessarily is here.
Like the intentional on the part of the entities, like they're actively avoiding it, or more that it's like
A passive thing. Yeah, exactly.
that they can like overcome with effort, essentially. Oh, well, that's an interesting thought as well. That's a really good way to think about it.
And I guess unless you're close to the Knell, it's totally fine. They don't care.
Then, well, the wound in the spiritual realm allows the entity
Obviously.
to overcome the repellent. Yeah,
Obviously. We all know that.
yeah.
Cool. I think we now need to talk about the other strange sort of invested thing on, I was going to say entity again. I'm like, can't say that. Invested thing, very precise. On Threnody, which is
Organism.
Life form in the generic sense that we use on the Coppermind.
Death form, actually.
I was gonna
Death
say.
form
Yeah, is it the categorization of life form? Yeah.
are the shades, which were obviously, a thing that we've seen quite a lot of, right? So we've seen, the Shades originally in Shadows for Silence. I guess actually we didn't see traditional normal Shades in Sunlit Man, but we did see the chorus, so the Shades were involved. Mm-hmm. Those were definitely interesting. And now we've seen Naz be a Shade, but he's sapient, but obviously still affected by some Shade things and like the bloodlust. So we're seeing like these gradations of knowledge, because the chorus definitely like knew some things. Traditional Shades in Hell typically didn't know a whole lot, but Silence's grandmother did seem to recognize Silence, right?
Mm-hmm. And the other type of Shade I'd throw out there, which is probably most of the same as, what do we got here?
Yeah. As we know, Shades of Threnody are not as self-aware as other cognitive shadows.
Well, that does check out.
That. Yeah, it's not often we get a primary source.
Primary source.
Yeah,
it's funny when it's our books.
I believe my question was like, why? What's going on with the Shades compared to Kelsier?
Yeah,
who seems to be mostly himself, and it's like, Shades just are not as self-aware.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say the other type of Shades we see that seem mostly like Silence's grandmother, but a little bit different, are the ones controlled by the Night Brigade, which we pop very briefly in the end of Sunlit Man.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, you're completely correct. So I don't know where we want to start talking about Shades. We've talked about cognitive shadows before, but I kind of was curious. How did the Threnodite Shades begin?
That's an excellent question, Eric. And that's where I wanted to start too.
Great. We'll start at the beginning with Shades.
So it all started because Odium and Ambition were fighting in the system.
Yep.
The planet got sprayed with investiture juice.
Yep.
And that mutated the humans so that they turned into Shades when they died.
So do they turn to Shades when they die all the time, or some of the time? Or
I don't think that's true.
I don't want to get into that necessarily right away, because I think that's maybe a corner conversation. My question is, they're fighting in the system. Everyone gets twisted. All Threnodite souls have this dark, smoky energy on them, that gives them the capacity to become a Shade when they die.
I agree with.
For some reason. Why were there people in Hell and they just all died? Why were there Shades on the side of the planet where there were no people? Why was that where they seem to have begun? Because that's what's confusing to me.
Was the continent of Hell the one facing the conflict? So
what time of day was it?
It's why you have to be afraid that a star is going to go supernova, because it's just going to irradiate the planet. That the homeland was on the other side and so was shielded. But they still got
the Ambition stuff, though, right?
Souls.
Yeah,
the ones on Hell just insta died. I don't know.
There's not, and it's not like this couldn't be the case. There's not any mention in Shadows for Silence of a pre-existing civilization, any ruins. They've apparently surveyed the entire continent and found every inch to be covered in forest.
Yeah, if it happened early enough, maybe they were just like hunter-gatherers.
I don't know if it'd necessarily be that early, though. But I guess that's true, because the homeland would have had a long time before the evil came. That is true.
Mm-hmm. And it could be a society that generates less obvious ruins than another. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
that occurs for sure. People didn't realize the mound builders in the Americas were building mounds for quite a long time.
Yeah, maybe that entire continent just got burned away, and Mercy came back and planted a forest.
And she's like, I'll call it Hell.
Yeah.
So I think that there has to have been people on that continent. I think there has to have been. Mm-hmm. I think that over the long period of time, they just have all died and all became shades eventually. And so I think the thing that confuses me is who was the first shade? I understand the mechanics of a shade killing another Threnodite that has that extra soul stuff becomes shade. That's fine. Naz does mention that there's rights. We don't know what that means. But I feel like there needs to be a first shade, and that I don't understand how that happened, but maybe that's like a random happenstance or something in that continent. When they said they surveyed, how thorough were they? Like
they mapped every inch.
That's
I believe it's the quote. I believe it's the quote. I'll have to let me look to make sure I'm right.
That's crazy.
They don't have much else to do.
On Canticle, it's not like you need someone to be killed by a shade on Canticle to create a shade.
Well, see, Canticle's weird
Grace.
though.
Let's see. Let me see. I know that there's like a mention of it.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Okay, I misquoted a little bit, so we can.
You're doing it from memory. That's fine.
Those Selm trees covered almost every inch of this continent. Those leaves shade in the ground. Still silent. Animals lived out there, but fort surveyors declared there were no predators. The shades had gotten those long ago, drawn by the shedding of blood. So they've been there for a long time. Like I feel like to me that reads like they got there and there were no predators. Like
Absolutely.
The shades had been there for a minute when the Force Scouts showed up.
Okay.
And they weren't appearing on the main continent because otherwise they wouldn't be calling it hell when they got here. Ghosts,
What's controlling the deer population? That's
an
what
excellent
my
question.
question is.
Probably the shades because they're running at night. They get startled.
Oh, that's true.
That's actually true.
Okay, I retract my objection.
Shades are like, honestly, the shades just have that simple rule just because it's like, we gotta keep the ecology under control here, guys. So I will say, by that line, the solemn trees covered almost every inch of this continent. And then it says the fort surveyors declared that there were no predators. I think it's perfectly reasonable that they have not literally surveyed the entire continent. That's preposterous to me that they, I don't believe that to be the case.
They could survey a whole continent in 100 years, like
when there's evil murder shades the entire way. Yeah, I find that to be a little challenging.
Well, I don't know. I think 100 years is plenty of time and they're pretty adept at surviving, I don't think that that's crazy. They can sail around the edges. You know what I mean? They're not drawing shades on the coast.
Yeah, I feel like if you circumnavigate a continent and you see the same trees lining the beaches wherever you go, you can kind of assume that they just go all the way to the center, except there's mountains also.
Yeah, there's mountains and homesteads, which is interesting as well. But I just would say, if a thing happened 2,000 years ago and there was a civilization that has just now become shades, they may not have found the archaeological evidence to do that, right?
I fully agree. I fully agree that a society could have existed that they're just unaware of.
Especially because it's probably closer to 8,000 years ago.
Yeah, it has to be, right? So
what? Maybe. I don't know. It's hard
if it happened before Odium got to Roshar.
But do the shades happen immediately after they get twisted? There's lots of one thought I had, this is kind of a little bit tangent, but how I feel like we've all learned a lot about diseases these last few years, but there's lots of there are dangerous, there are borderline dangerous diseases that kind of crop up, but they don't really, go widespread. And so maybe what happens is everyone's soul gets messed up a little bit, and weird stuff happens when Threnodites die. And eventually one of these soul mutations is a shade. Someone dies in a shade forms, instead of some other wacky thing or some other kind of like strange thing. And then that you're like, oh, now that is COVID-19.
That's patient zero.
Spread,
that's shade zero here.
And that starts to go, and suddenly that's kind of the dominant sort of thing that happens. So that's just a thought,
Or it could be a random event like that. Or I could imagine like these ancient hypothetical people we have no evidence for. Great start. For any theory. Like they happened to do some religious rite. These are the mysterious rites that Naz is talking about. And like they created a shade. Like that probably wasn't their intended outcome, but that's what happened with like whatever investiture or something happened. And that's shade zero. I don't know.
So going to touching on Naz's comments, I've always interpreted that as there are rites and like rituals you can undertake to create a shade that is sapient, like Kelsier is. But like if those don't happen and a shade is created, it's the mindless version.
That
so like
is
in
plausible.
Theory, like those rites were undertaken, and that's why Naz is fully himself in Emberdark.
Yeah. So the quote is, "One doesn't merely decide to become a shadow," the man exclaimed. Amazing, by the way. He had a faintly strange accent one Kelsier couldn't place. "It's an important rite with requirements and traditions. This is a bother." Get your Boromir memes out, guys.
So fussy.
Which like that just does like if he's just talking about like normal shades,
it does seem weird.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, agreed.
I want to go back to Canticle at some point.
Oh, we will.
There's like a whole quote about like they would be overrun by shades if like they didn't leave the bodies out or something, and they're not doing any specific rites or people aren't being killed by shades there.
Yeah.
Canticle.
I guess the other way that I would maybe push back on that a little bit, Ian, is just that like I don't know, like most of the cognitive shadows we see are intelligent, not unintelligent. You know what I mean? Like, so it seems weird that he's like, whoa, why are you intelligent? Like you didn't have a right done to you, when actually the shades are the weird ones. Most of Kelsier, the Fuse, like it seems like they are unusually unself-aware as opposed to a bunch of other cognitive shadows we see that haven't necessarily had any rights done to them. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe Naz just doesn't know about those yet.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's
like it's
kind
very
of
early.
where I was going. Like, yeah.
And like
his frame of reference is going to be the shades.
Yeah, it could be.
So like it would make sense to me if he assumes how shades work is the default.
Yes.
Which it very much isn't if you actually know anything that's going on in the Cosmere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tough to say. I don't know how well traveled they are at that point. It doesn't seem that well, like they've been to that many places yet. It seems like they're relatively inexperienced in the Cosmere. Chris is trying to see learn some big things about shards, but
yeah, and we see in like the Roshar essay that like she knows some things from Braze. Like I don't think she knows that like she sees like, oh, like Braze is inhabited by like sentient splinters of investiture. Some of those are spren, some of those are cognitive shadows, but like she doesn't seem to recognize them as cognitive shadows. So and like I can kind of see like not realizing Returned are also cognitive shadows because they're more person. They have flesh bodies. So yeah, I can kind of see like that comment coming at a stage where they don't know about cognitive shadows very much, with like shades being the main example.
I do. I've got the Canticle quotes, so I think it is some weird stuff. I will, before we get to the chorus, because the chorus blab about this. There is a line that Ox says, who could be not accurate, but he says, they turn into shades under the right circumstances. So like Ox is saying like that there are circumstances. However, you're 100% right. The chorus, let's hear what the chorus says. Again, amazing art of seeing the chorus and the glass thing. It's so good. So the chorus says, we were the first who died on Canticle, the first to live in this land and devise the designs of flight based on the ships that brought us here. But then we died and rose as shades, remembering. Shades do not remember. We are not shades. We are the chorus of the people. But others, another said, must be given to the sun. This is the sun's land. Do this not, the first said, and shades will overrun the world. Such a small planet. They will take everything. They would rip and destroy you. As we would, if allowed. Amazing.
The chorus is
chorus.
incredible.
They're great. So that's interesting. Oh, and then later Zeal says they say that shades will rise from those who die and don't become some hearts, but we rarely experience that.
I love the become shades if like under the right circumstances. This is a classic Brandon like ass covering moment where he's like, well, we'll see. Like I don't want to get into it right now.
One of those circumstances be on Canticle.
You know?
Yeah, because I would say like we get from Shadows for Silence. She says if William Ann died, like how she was injured in the book, that she would rise as a shade.
Sure.
You know, that's her belief right there. It doesn't necessarily have to always happen. And in fact, I don't know, when Theophilus dies, you're like, does he turn into a shade? You know, like, would that have happened right away? Would that have taken a while to happen? You know, because he was killed in the same way.
Ate his shade.
Yeah, maybe grandmother ate his shade, you know, but like it definitely seems like it's possibly not quite as easy
100%.
as if you're killed by a shade, you become a shade for sure. And then on Canticle, it seems like almost everyone becomes a shade if they die of any circumstances, you know?
Well, I mean, it is unclear because Zeal is like, we don't experience the shades rising. Sometimes after a death, we see misgather and move to the reliquary. And like Rebecca is like, oh, I saw my brother. But like that's ambiguous. Mm-hmm. So I'm not entirely sure how trustworthy the chorus is, but certainly an amount of people on Canticle absolutely do become shades when they die because we need the chorus to form, right? Like 100%. Why? Great question.
I think there has to be something going on with the souls that being killed by a shade is maybe the easiest way or the most common way for that to happen, but it's not the only way, and it's not necessarily the shade directly causing it in the sense that like it couldn't happen otherwise.
Okay.
Sure.
I don't know what that process is, but like
sure.
So it could be a thing where like it requires a certain level of investiture. So it's like, oh, like if there's another shade around, they can kind of like kickstart that. And on Canticle, like there is more investor floating around maybe because like the sun is kind of blasting it all over the place, so it's like there's more ambient investiture to facilitate the formation of a shade.
Yeah, and it's like a random thing where like sometimes the electron is just pushed out of the atom and then it becomes a shade. Okay.
Sometimes, yeah, you can never tell when radioactive decay is going to occur. You just know that it happens specific rate.
And that alpha particle, it becomes a shade. You heard it here first.
Yeah, maybe if there was some invested art or something or other investiture in hell back before the shades became a thing, like that's what caused them to become shades. I don't.
Yeah, or like if a Threnodite went to Roshar, would it be easier for them to become a shade? Because like the high storm like throwing around, there's more ambient investiture around.
That's a good question right there. It's interesting. So I have a theory right now.
Yeah.
When shades kill another Threnodite, it does form a shade, but maybe like the shade's touch is like withering the soul away. And so that's why they're not very like conscious, right? Like it's this random process. We have this like withering aspect of the shade's touch. And so I can imagine that you are sustaining spiritual damage there, right? That seems plausible. Whereas other methods of shade creation, you don't have that withering, and so they can be more cognizant like the chorus. But there's still some aspects of that.
That withering is horrifying too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How gross that was. It is
super
so
gross. Yeah.
I have been thinking about this. This is kind of getting into the rights that Naz talked about.
Perfect. Great.
And I've been thinking about this ever since we read that Ox quote earlier about the shade, like a piece of shade attached to the soul.
Yeah.
Right. Quote was.
Right.
I think that when a Threnodite dies, that piece breaks off. And that piece naturally maybe doesn't necessarily have enough investiture to stay as a cognitive shadow. And infusing that piece with the entirety of the spirit web is the rights that create the sentient Naz shades. But you can also like infuse that piece with extra investiture to make one of the less sentient shades that are just like more mindless and barely recollect their human lives.
Would you say that Naz is not actually a cognitive shadow then, if they like used his spirit web and his soul to make him into a shade? And that kind of like, would you kind of reclassify him?
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, I don't understand how that would be different from other cognitive shadow. Like, why are you? Where's the reclassification coming from in your mind?
Because I feel like when, like, I guess we don't have to get really into it, but like, when someone dies,
we're not for the listeners, we're not into it right now.
there's like, no, we're not. There's like, like the body dies.
Yeah.
The mind can persist if it's infused with investiture. It can become a cognitive shadow. And then we see separately the echo, the spirit web, which is what I was interpreting you were saying, exists as well. Like what Dalinar speaks to with Evie, like the soul, the echo, the things that he calls upon when he sees the visions, the remnants in the spiritual realm. So I wasn't sure if that's what you were saying, that they were bringing that back in, which in my mind is a little different from what we normally see it from.
Not necessarily. I mean, I think that like, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, but would like Kelsier have the same echo that is distinct from his cognitive shadow in the way that Dalinar talks to Evie? Like, I don't think we know that.
I think that probably exists. Yeah, I would say, but then we get into Brandon's kind of like what is a cognitive shadow? Is it the person? Is it not the person? Which is not going to have an answer. But
which I'm like, it's the person. Yeah. Like we see continuity of consciousness.
Oh, that's funny because I'm like, obviously it's not the person. So
yeah, I think this shade investiture that is attached to the soul but distinct has like a faint impression maybe of the soul on it, and you have to intentionally like infuse it in some way or push the original soul into that piece or do something that makes it more whole and more like a regular soul.
I see what you're saying. Like they would have a standard cognitive shadow and they've got the shade attached to the soul. And you're saying like to merge those to make Naz.
Yes. And I think that normally when there is not enough investiture to make Naz, that soul could just go to the regular part of the soul just goes to the beyond. And we're left with the mindless shades are what's left. Maybe. I don't know.
I could see that. And maybe that's the explanation for the corruption, is you've got whatever like little piece of the soul of the person is in the shade. And then there's whatever power We don't understand what it is, but whatever power is the shade, it's those two together that you see the corruption of the red eyes. If it's still corruption, Brandon can change his mind. It's a wob. He loves to do it.
This idea does remind me. There's a wob about lifeless, and if using the original breath of a person to turn their body into a lifeless would have some level of effect, rather than using a random breath to do it.
Well, it does, because Claude, like that's what they were proving with him, was they used his own breath to awaken him, is my recollection.
Oh, is that true? I don't know if that's true. Yeah. I don't remember.
I think that's true. Fact check me, it's true.
I'm trying to fact check something different.
Did they have his original breath? He was returned.
There's lots of questions around it. I know that is a thing that was said. Let's see. Original.
While you go search for that, I was wondering if any of us remember any details of how Naz died.
Does he talk about it?
I don't remember.
I think it's involved with like whatever got Starling exiled.
I guess my question is, when do the rites need to happen for the
question
for the sapient shade to form? But I think in your model, Grace, like it's possible
just before soul goes to the beyond. And
yeah. So like you could do that like before an event that killed you, but like you've merged this shade investiture with your soul maybe, and then you're that whenever you die, then it's like, okay, cool, I persist now.
You just have to be baptized and to save your soul from damnation.
I mean, with Threnody stuff, it probably is.
I hadn't thought of the before you die aspect. I was just thinking like there are like a few moments, or like depending on how invested someone is, they hang out for a bit before going to the beyond, and I was just thinking about it in terms of those moments. But yeah, I don't see why maybe you couldn't do it before someone dies in my model.
Sure.
I've definitely read
probably
a
wrong
book somewhere about like people like doing rites to like affect their afterlife beforehand.
Yeah.
That's super vague. I think like the craft sequence has something along those lines.
So you couldn't find it, David?
I might be conflating two things, in that he had a bunch of breath when he died and they reawakened him. That's maybe more of it. So I'm probably wrong. I don't want to go on an extensive research. Consider me to be wrong, and we'll move along on that. And
Asher stabs him, and he's returned. I don't know how they would have gotten his breath. Like,
yeah,
that's an excellent question. Great.
Like his original breath, like would have been from like his first life 300 years ago,
but enhanced with the divine breath.
Asher does lots of weird crap though, so I would not rule it out either. It's possible Claude awakens something with his regular breath.
Did you expect us to talk about Arsteal and Claude in this episode? Put your comments below if you did.
Cognitive shadows.
We have run the gamut for this episode.
Talked about Dalinar. We talked about all the things.
Oh yeah. Okay. Just a separate tangent on the chorus and whatnot. My other thought is really like the way that the shades behave and the way the chorus behave could just be they're on a different planet. Their souls are changing. It seems to have happened relatively quickly upon their arrival, but Shardic radiation, they're standing underneath this shard radiation sun all day, every day. I think that their souls, clearly like the Dawnheart thing, is also something that doesn't happen normally. Like they've become integrated into this world.
Sorry, so those are sun hearts.
Oh, damn it. I've done that before on this podcast, and I will continue to do it.
That's fine. It did change. I'm glad it's sun heart.
Yeah, it's okay.
We don't need more Dawn things.
Just being a different planet. Yeah, we don't need to conflate that. But yeah. I think that different things could work differently on Canticle, and
that's
they could be being warped by it just being a different planet.
Yeah, but that's boring though. But it's very valid.
The other thing about the chorus is, or one of the other things about the chorus, other than them being 3D printers, is like they do seem to be more intelligent, but I don't think they are individually more intelligent.
No, it's like a hive mind.
Like more of a hive mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So collectively they are intelligent.
which mechanically is quite interesting. It's almost like you imagine these shades, but like they're whatever intelligence they had is kind of like almost being imprinted on the others. Like, I don't know. Like, how does that work with like the spirit web and stuff of these things? Like they must just all like have this strong connection, and so they're sharing.
Yeah, they are
knowledge.
Connected to one another.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't seem to be distinct anymore. Like,
No.
because they can divide the smoke and create new cities. Like, it isn't like they're, it doesn't really seem so much like they are individuals so much as like a collective substance, which maybe they did something to make that happen too. Like, well, I don't know. I guess it must have. I don't know how the early days of Canticle went. When they died,
It's
like, I
crazy.
can't assume they had like a glass room ready to go. When that happened.
Who knows what Zellion was up to? Like,
Zellion adjusted their
really
souls.
left them behind on the planet. They have to keep moving or else they die because the sun is awful.
He could have
you
done
couldn't
some
have
soul
dropped
manipulation.
them off at a nicer place.
Yeah, he seems like a good, nice guy.
You could
like
have
nice.
dropped them off in the
I am-
Utol system, the
Yeah.
beach planet.
the further we get into this episode, the more hard in I am on cult leader Zellion. He was just a cult leader, like one who had so apparently spaceships, but
I will say it's easier to get cult members when people are in desperate situations. And I think that applies with the Threnodites, like objectively speaking, right? It's not good. And yeah, so just for clarity on the timeline with Zellion, because we're kind of on Zellion chorus stuff, they did know of hell, and so it does seem like these people were some of the group from the homeland. They lived in hell. Zellion comes on his spaceship, or
it's
something.
a spaceship. Like they designed their own ships. They based them on the designs of the ships that brought them there. They said, so like
I guess it could be. It's
within Shadesmar.
Yeah, it could be he has his motorbike. I don't know. And they use one of the weird perpendicularities to get out there, and then they're on their motorbikes. I guess he'd need to bring multiple motorbikes, obviously.
He needed a couple motorbikes. Yeah.
They're not motorbikes, but
they're hover bikes, Eric.
they are called hover bikes, aren't they? Yeah.
Or they're at least very similar.
Do we think Zellion is even a Threnodite?
No, Zellion's it's a Yolish name. That's why I think they know Aiden Alcium's name. Yeah. Isn't that in?
Like,
isn't that in
he definitely was not from Threnody. We know.
Oh,
that.
definitely not. Yeah, he showed up. The motivations of Zellion are completely insane to me. I'm just like, what was that?
And to be clear, OG Zellion, not Sigzil Zellion.
Yeah.
Yes. Zellion 1.0.
I don't remember it being Yolish, but I probably forgot. They're just totally fine.
I think it is.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
There's so many hits for Zellion
just search Zellion
in this book.
It's awful.
Yeah. There we go. Got it. Zellion, he whispered. It means one who finds, Compassion said, though I know not the original language. It's from Yolan, he whispered, where my master was born.
Oh, great.
Was it Hoyd? There's no way Hoyd did this. He couldn't.
no. I feel like we have confirmation it wasn't Hoyd.
I would search, but we get a bunch of Sigzil hits again. Zellion plus Hoyd, maybe.
I don't think it's Hoyd. I think even for Hoyd, dumping them on Canticle is a massive dick move. Like Hoyd would not do that. Hoyd has more compassion for people than that. Yeah, so Zellion from Yolan, or some derivative of Yolan, comes with his spaceship / hover bikes and is like, hey, let's go, guys. And they're like, we're out of here. Sure. Summit Man is absolutely insane if you think about it for more than 2 seconds. Like, this is wild.
It really is. It really is. It's definitely there's no way he told them where they were going. No.
No.
He was a cult leader. He showed up. made a cult, took them to the planet and left.
It's like, hey, I'm taking you someplace the evil will never get you. Because even the entities know not to go to Gandigal. It's a bad place.
Get burned away by the sun.
Yeah, though, to be fair, if there's a lot of investiture there, would the entities want to go to Canticle to eat the investiture there?
I do think the sunlight could destroy an entity.
Yeah, that I would agree. The sunlight seemed pretty powerful.
It would have to be the sunlight between the planet and the star, though, because just the regular radiation,
regular sunlight doesn't do it.
Like it's that is like the supercharge,
yeah.
like,
but like
power.
that effect.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do you think
entity in the sunlight standing on the planet is going to get erased?
That's a pretty small part of the world, of the solar system, though. There's lots of investiture to slurp up that's not between the. Anyway.
Do we think Mercy is the star?
Is that a theory?
It's my theory right now that Mercy is creating this to kill entities, guys. We nailed it.
It's the bug zapper.
It's the bug zapper.
That would be really funny. Oh my god.
I kind of love that, actually.
It's so funny.
Oh god.
All right, you want my dumb theory?
Yes, please.
Do we think Zellion, the one who finds, was a wayfinder?
Oh boy. Oh boy.
From Kakobon's planet. Boom. It's possible.
Kakobon's original planet that's out there somewhere.
Kakobon did not have motorbikes, but it could be a different group of people from Kakobon's original people.
What? Kakobon just really liked, the boat aesthetic and went to a tropical place, and Zellion really likes the motorbike aesthetic.
Couple different.
The Kakobon is from that planet's Amish community, and they don't care for advanced technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but like, no, we're using the old ways of wayfinding, and other people are like, I like cover bikes.
Much faster, Kakobon, and you don't get eaten by entities. You can outrun them.
I don't believe it's from Kakobon. That's very funny. That's very, very funny. Good. We're on the rails, guys.
We've done well so far. I think we've
actually had some good ideas this last 5 minutes. So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are there shades in the homeland? Yes, no.
Now, or can they exist?
Have they existed? Like I guess pre-evil, are there shades on the homeland? Let's start there.
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think shades could be formed there now if people went back.
Sure.
Yep.
But I don't think they existed before the evil.
Why?
Because there was no mention of them.
Because they were on the other side of the planet.
Shade Zero's on the other continent.
Shade Zero's on the other continent. Other thoughts? I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, the circumstances were never right, Eric. The stars didn't align. It's not in all circumstances. I don't know. The Nas ritual thing, like, there's parts of me where I'm like, is this like a pre-collapse like thing that they did part of their magic? But I don't think Nas is a pre-collapse guy. So it feels like it has to be that, like, whatever he's talking about there, it almost makes the rituals thing like a little more confusing to me, because I don't feel like they've got, like, at least Silence does not know about rituals that turn you into a and maybe there's a secret religion or a secret thing that's going on, but I don't really know where he's getting these rituals from.
Especially like when he's saying requirements in traditions, right? Like that seems like this has been a thing for a while, right?
Yeah.
So maybe maybe in the homeland, they have had those traditions to create shades, but they were sapience shades, so they didn't multiply to make a bunch of shades.
Surely, I think the way Shadows for Silence is written, to me, makes it seem like there were not shades in the homeland.
I do agree, but maybe there was just like a few one-offs where they did the traditions and they didn't know about them.
It might not have been widely known. I mean, or maybe I don't know. That's a tough one. Like they think it's hell, so like they're just like, oh my god, like we've got a few shades over on our side, but this is just full of the souls of the dead. Like this is crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but I tend to think that they were entirely new to them, you know? Like they certainly, yeah.
Maybe there were traditions to prevent people from becoming shades that they didn't realize that's what it was for or something, and then those were lost when the evil came. I don't know. I feel like that's a reach.
Yeah, because like this, why would like such a significant like cultural memory be forgotten so quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible that whatever hypothetical investiture there was in the homeland to draw the evil there, which I think is that's a fair supposition that there could be investiture there in the homeland to draw them. But maybe something about that investiture protected, like that's a reason why there are not shades there. I don't have any mechanistic or causal link for why that would be the case, unless I don't know. But like something about that investiture, maybe there's like a ancient entity like wind or something that was there. I don't know.
I'm down for more Wind Night Stone-esque entities in the Cosmere. I would love that.
Yeah, I'd actually.
That's
really
where
like that.
Night went.
Night went to Threnody. Does that work with the timeline of when Night left? I don't think so.
It was
when did Night leave?
When did Night leave? Was it before Odium showed up?
No, it was after Odium showed up.
Yeah, we did not research this for this episode. I don't know off the top of my head.
You didn't, Eric. Why did you not pull the Night quotes for this?
Yeah, okay. What a fool! It's called the Night Brigade.
I thought it was a Dust Brigade.
Do we want to get into Night Brigade stuff?
Let's do it.
Sure. I think
we've exhausted our lack of knowledge on shades.
It's true. Our knowledge is pretty low, considering. I would assume we will learn more in the Threnody novel, which is now called the Night Brigade, presumably. For a long time, fun history fact, we thought it was the
fandom history. It's
Marvin's fault, actually. I'm pretty sure it was him that
was him.
Yeah, it was.
It was him. That
Brandon said Dusk Brigade, and Marvin thought it was Dust Brigade, and so for years we're like, oh yeah, Dust Brigade. And then it was changed to Night Brigade, that's a cool name.
Mm-hmm. Brandon thought Dusk Brigades was too similar to Six of the Dusk, which is ironic because that story name doesn't matter anymore, because no one's going to read that story alone. And so he changed it. He changed it from a name we didn't think it was to something else.
And then he changed it to Night Brigade, but the fool Night in Wind and Truth. You got him.
So I have always sort of thought that a large part of this book would be discovering how the sapient shades are created. I don't know that has any basis in WoB or anything. I have just always sort of assumed, because we see the sapient shades kind of with the Night Brigade. We don't know how they work. We've only seen the mindless ones so far on Threnody. That will be a large part of the book.
Oh, we should probably actually talk about the box office.
Oh,
that's good reminder. I did the stupid name thing rather than anything of substance. Interestingly, in 2016, Brandon was saying, I have several books planned there in Threnody, and also that his original idea was that it would be people leaving the homeland and getting to hell. But then Brandon's like, I think I'll flip it. And then a few years later, he's saying, oh yeah, the opening scene's going to be, they all the ships sunk and they're washing up on shore. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
fun.
like a person clinging to a piece of driftwood, watching the fleet be destroyed, like while like some people, crawl back. So
that makes me think of Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
Yep. There's obviously the silver chain and Oathbringers from Threnody, and I think that's probably the continuity chain that we see at End of Sunlit Man that the Admiral has, maybe. I don't know.
Which seems like maybe important for controlling the shades. Like maybe that's a piece important of what's going on there. You know?
And then we have the Admiral. So use the Falchion. We love Use the Falchion here on this program. Have we met the Admiral of the Night Brigade or family of said Admiral before? I like that. Getting the family in there. The Admiral of the Night Brigade is the protagonist of the unnamed Threnody novel. You have not met her yet. I didn't say hero on purpose. I said protagonist. But when I write the Night Brigade novel, it'll probably just be called The Night Brigade. She's the protagonist. And yeah, continuity chains are very involved in that story. If I ever get around to writing it, you better.
Hate that caveat, Brandon. Yeah.
So anyway, that's what we know about Night Brigade. I don't think I missed any other wobs. I think that's.
I don't. The only other thing that is that Isaac's got a book cooking that's a Nas origin story that's also on Threnody.
Fun.
But that's really the other piece
that we haven't heard about for a long time. I think, right? The Nas origin.
It's actually, it was like 2021, so it was a more recent wob than I kind of thought it would be, but I think definitely Boatload of Mummies, Book of Nails has kind of taken up precedence in terms of what Isaac's thinking about. Or at least that's what people talk about more, and wobs, and people ask about that a lot more. So maybe one day.
I definitely imagine that this is where we'll get shade lore and like those sapient shades, Grace. I can totally believe that.
Surely the Admiral is doing some kind of unethical experience on her dead shipmates that become shades.
That sounds, probably. That sounds good.
Be cool.
Yeah, I suppose. There's a piece of it that's a little, I think, like, you're right in that, in my mind, like, this is not only an origin for the Admiral, it's probably an origin for the Night Brigade.
The organization. Yeah, absolutely.
That's probably what we're seeing here is like how this mercenary company was founded.
Yeah.
There's a little piece that's like seems a little backwards to me that they're going to learn about shades by going to where the evil is and away from where all the shades are, but I think they could still be working stuff out, I guess, if they're just using the shades of their own dead crew, assuming the circumstances are right for shades to form.
Yeah. It's hard to say. It's just like, where do you go if you're just on driftwood? All your fleet's destroyed. Like
maybe the end of the book is them returning from the homeland and forcibly recruiting all of the shades that exist in hell. Like,
oh god, and Threnody is just like a totalitarian state under a mercenary company.
Yeah,
I mean that is actually very plausible. I'll be totally honest. That's like whatever quest she completes there. She comes back and is like, this is where I get the people from a mercenary company. Nice. And the shades, both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I assume there will be other survivors. I don't think it's just going to be the ad, like I figured there'll probably be other characters. I have to assume, but
yeah, I do. It's obvious that the problem with the evil won't be solved in the homeland, right? And whatever this novel is, like, I don't think that can be the case, and I wouldn't want it to be the case.
No.
It doesn't seem plausible. Like without
how would you
sort
possibly?
of to defeat like a multiple mountain-sized entities like intent on consuming your soul seems like it requires a level of power beyond anything we've ever seen on Threnody. So like maybe that is the resolution. Is they're like, hey, I guess we can't beat the evil. Whoopsie, but
we can't beat the evil, but we can join them. Let's do war crimes.
Hey,
and wipe out multiple planets.
I'm sure it's all fine with them, but
are you?
I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, definitely the Night Brigade, the organization makes me understand why Kelsier, talking about the Ghost Bloods, he's like, there are organizations that would just wipe us off the face of the Cosmere instantly.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Night Brigade, I'm like, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Maybe like the ultimate goal is they want the Dawn Shards so badly to defeat the evil.
That'd actually be
Interesting.
tight.
They're like, we will finally reclaim our planet with this.
Yeah, like
Yeah, interesting idea, Grace.
like it's sort of about this woman who is willing to cross any line in order to achieve this goal of defeating the evil and reclaiming the homeland.
You know, we haven't had a Brandon protagonist like that, so that does actually sound like that would be interesting
That
to
does sound
explore
really
for
cool.
Brandon.
Mm-hmm. It does open the perpetual question of how you use Dawn Shard with the command exist as a weapon, but it can be done, so we will see.
You know?
And you know what? Like that drive to do no matter what to like save her homeland, kind of ambitious.
Whoa! Whoa! Nailed it.
But yeah,
She
I don't think they can
defeats
defeat the evil.
by reforming ambition and ascending.
I have never thought that like we're dealing with the evil in this book.
No. Like the evil's
Yeah,
gonna
especially
be
like after Emberdark, that's too much of a Cosmere-wide problem.
yeah.
We made
I don't think we're dealing with the evil permanently ever. I think they're just going to exist forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you could plausibly think about potentially clearing it off of Threnody. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's not like destroying every entity as opposed to destroying the ones that happen to be there, you know?
I mean, clearly there's a bunch, so just roaming around, right? Many types.
Yeah, although it said that they destroyed Threnody and then moved on, so I can see there being less than there once were. You know what I mean? That was the Emberdark line.
Sure.
Mhm.
What do we mean by destroyed?
Yeah, some of them got trapped. Those that did not get trapped moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of do like the idea that one of the goals with the Dawn Shard that the Admiral wants is to deal with that. But I'm sure there's an aspect of just, power. Like maybe that was an initial motivation, but
it's a multi-tool, you know?
yeah. It makes me wonder what Brandon wants to do with the Night Brigade as an organization as we continue with the Cosmere. Like, I don't really understand what that's going to be about, but presumably Brandon has some plans somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like they'll definitely be in the space age stuff. You know what I mean? They could be a mercenary company subcontracted to like Scadrial or Rashar. You know, like I assume that they'll eventually, like those seem to be the fault lines that are forming, so somebody's going to pick those people up unless they're trying to make their own play for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe another faction will show up though. Who knows? Like it's possible that I'm sure Brandon is keeping some things back that we can't envision right now about what the future of the Cosmere looks like.
I want a sequel to Isles of the Emberdark with like Starling and her crew, where instead of like Scadrian imperialists, like they have to deal with Night Brigade mercenaries.
That'd be pretty
cool.
sick
On some planet.
That'd be cool. And there is an Emberdark, an implied connection between the Night Brigade and Nas, which unclear. Like that could have happened at any point. It doesn't have to tie back all the way to Threnody or something that happened on Threnody. Maybe he just pissed them off at some point in his living days. But it certainly seems like they were. I think Daedra implies that they'd be pretty interested in getting their hands on him.
He was a possible bit of leverage over the Night Brigade, if nothing else. He being Nas.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
They could want him like as a soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in a Sunlit Man, there's like some implication that the Night Brigade feels a bit of entitlement over like Threnodites and Shades in general.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does Nas feel any more particularly powerful than any other Shade? Though, like he might be more knowledgeable potentially.
Yeah, like he's more intelligent. I think that makes him more powerful.
Do they need an intelligent Shade though? You know, like what do they like? They want to tell the Shades what to do. What do they want with the Shade that talks back?
Well, I think they can control the shades.
Yeah, with the chains.
Otherwise, like with the chains. So it's like they can tell him to do something and he has to do it, and he can then do it. They have to give him fewer commands because he can do things more intelligently.
It'd be a
feel
shade
like
general.
It's got to be, for them to call it a piece of leverage, in my mind, it has to be more significant than, they'll probably want this maybe slightly more powerful than average shade when they've got literally hundreds to thousands of shades. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't seem like that's much of a motivation to me.
Yeah, I don't know. What I do know is that what I want to see in Space Age Cosmere is the Night Brigade getting its army of shades out and totally wrecking a thing and seeing combat like that on screen. That sounds really good.
Return of the
You know
King.
what I want to
army.
Yeah, you know what I want to see? You know how Nas has his shade gun, apparently?
Sure, yes.
That's in the Bands of Morning
Broadsheet.
broadsheet.
Yeah.
Spaceship with shade guns shooting shades onto other spaceships.
Fueled with the Dawn Shard that the Night Brigade get. They say exist, and shades, infinite shade guns. Easy peasy, David. You fool.
Can you imagine, like, your whole ship gets hit by like a shade blast and like everyone just withers, you know, like.
I mean, it does sound bad. Yeah.
I mean, I just imagined it shooting out a shade that lands on your ship and goes around killing people.
Oh, well, Nas's gun does some interesting stuff too. Like it like rots away the gondola, I think. Like it's. Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever read the broadsheet.
Really?
Yeah,
I should probably. I also haven't, and it is literally in my stairwell. I could read it every day.
We should have known to read the shade gun broadsheet in preparation.
I mean, to be fair, I did not think
one we should.
I can't believe you put it up on the wall but didn't read it, Eric. That's funny to me.
You know, David, sometimes I'll just be like, yeah, I'll get around to it. You know, like how accurate is that story anyway? It's in a tabloid. We don't know.
It's in a tabloid, but then you gotta peel the details out. You pull the little. Do we think there were pterodactyls on Scadrial? No, probably not. But
I
interesting
don't know.
little.
I have never read Allomancer Jack, actually. And
That's a fun one.
I've read Allomancer Jack.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize that I'd read more than the Cosmere. I mean, I read more of the Cosmere than. Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow.
Most important lore out there.
Well, you're just evil or something. I don't know.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Do we have any other final thoughts on all the things we talked about today? Because we sure did a lot.
I will sacrifice. Let's see. What would I get rid of that Brandon's talked about? I'd get rid of Cyberpunk Mistborn. I would get rid of a Warbreaker sequel. I don't even care about a Launcher sequel. If you write this book, Brandon, you need to knock this up the priority list. You need to stop saying, if I get around to it, you got to do it, Brandon. I am very interested in this book, and I would be really sad if it was somehow something that ended up on the chopping block, you know, in terms of the plan. It seems like it's when he does his 36 books, it's one he puts in there.
I think so.
But
yeah, I feel like this book more than anything else, like, hey, you brought on a horror writer to write books in the Cosmere. At least have him help you out. Like, if you don't have time, like, come on. I think Dan could do a good job.
Oh,
yeah.
I would really not like that. But fair enough.
Yeah, like I kind of want Brandon to explore the different genres. Like I think that's been kind of the fun thing with the Secret projects, and so having something a little different, an edgy protagonist, let's say, you know, that sounds fun to me.
Yeah, like Brandon solo, obviously the preference. But if it's between getting a Threnody book and not getting a Threnody book, I'll like take a Dan co-written book.
Oh, co-writing as opposed to just handing it to Dan, you're saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not just hand over to Dan. Co-write.
Still, Yeah, it's still veto out. It's still anti that, but fair enough. It's better than not getting it at all.
Yeah.
We did not discuss the most important bit
that's
of
true.
world building
That's
we
true.
know about Threnody,
That's true.
What is
which
that?
is the rat skulls glow, apparently.
Yeah. You know, from Ambition's death, we all know that makes things glow.
Did it glow with any particular color, or is it
The
just
color of the mushrooms.
Which I think is white.
It was just
Yeah.
white, I think.
Yeah.
Because also they had like the glowing, I forget what it was, like, even though I
It
read it
sounds like
yesterday.
the rats just eat a lot of mushrooms? I'll be honest.
Okay, that's-
The mushrooms don't glow, though.
Oh, it's
They're
just
the same
in the color.
as the glowing rat skulls.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
It's that I the impression I got was that they did glow, but maybe I misunderstood.
This is the conversation you really want here, guys.
William Ann stepped through a field of mushrooms that glowed like the skulls of rats.
Oh, okay.
So they both glow. There's some interesting perpendicularity wobs that we didn't get to. The way to travel to Threnody specifically has to do with the fact that a shard was killed nearby, Brandon has said,
Okay.
and that it's
Interesting.
more of a
Death, murder,
circumstance.
ritual, like,
Yeah.
come on.
Perpendicular in Threnody, is it a location or a circumstance? Good question. Raffo, more like the second, though. More like a circumstance than a location. So,
Oh, I have a thing too, David. Do we think the star belt in Shadows for Silence is the same thing as the scar? Boom.
for sure.
Like,
It's
no,
the
that's
same thing.
confirmed.
Is that
isn't it?
confirmed?
I think there's probably a wob about that, but
There
I think
probably is.
I think all the bright patches of
We know the bright patch from Scadrial is the same as the star belt.
I searched star belt and there are 0 wobs on the star belt.
the star belt. The star belt is Town Scar is
I'm just saying it doesn't have a
That
color
can't be
associated
true.
with it. It doesn't have a color. I was looking at every instance of star belt in Shadows for Silence, and it doesn't even mention what color it is. So
for sure, but it was the first time it was mentioned too. You know,
what did you find?
Our book's AMA from 2015. Windrunner. Threnody and Scadrial are both noted as having unusual bright patches of stars in their skies. Are these two planets near to one another? Brennan, they are both seeing the same thing. Yes.
Okay.
I was
That's very
writing
funny.
all the Coppermine articles, so I needed to know.
Yeah. Windrunner, does this mean that Threnody and Scadrial are part of the same system, or are these bright patches visible from other worlds as well? Brandon, visible from other planet worlds as well. The Cosmere is a relatively small place on a galactic scale. We'll publish the star map when that becomes relevant in a decade or so. Footnote, it took approximately a year and a half to publish this star map.
I was just thinking that because it's 2015 and Arcanum abounded in 2016.
I do think it is
promise, over
highly
deliver.
likely that the star belt is the Red Rip.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no.
That's
Is
the
Red
other
Rip
one.
Scadrial?
Red
Red
Rips
Rip
is
Scadrial.
Scadrials. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think those are all the same.
Yeah. Okay, great. So you just didn't say the word star belt, so it didn't appear in the search, David. How rude of
I'm
you.
like,
Come
I
on.
know there's a wob.
There's a star belt.
Why
wob.
is there no star belt tag? Why is there no star belt tag?
Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the only mystery with the star belt, so now it's solved. So that's probably why there's been
We
no
did it.
further questions. You did it.
We did it.
You got the question 10 years ago. Nailed it.
10 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, God. I remember when that was happening.
Yeah,
Was
that was a good
the
one.
AMA that he answered for months? That was
Yes.
incredible.
I do
Yes.
believe
Yeah.
that is the AMA that never ended.
It has, I think, the most wobs. There's so many wobs in it.
That was incredible.
I remember because
395, yeah.
it was the example that we had to talk about performance issues with Arcanum. I do remember that.
Oh, was it struggling to load? Like,
Yeah,
all the
I think there were
logs?
some issues. Yeah, which are hopefully fixed. Oh, and one other critically important thing, guys.
Okay.
We have the deepest ones in Shadows
the
of
deepest
Silence.
Yeah, how did the fuse get to Threnody, you guys think?
I mean, Odium was right there, obviously.
He's right there.
Hidden
But
in the fuse
in that part of the timeline, had the fuse been created yet? I don't
Not
think
at
so.
all. Definitely not.
I don't. Yeah.
Way too early. Just for context, listeners,
Yes.
Silence references at one point there's a noise in the woods and she's like, oh, forbid, God beyond forbid that I've drawn one of the deepest ones, and she did.
Yep.
So we don't know what they are, and we get no more information.
I think they're just like the oldest of shades.
Oh, that's
That's
Shade
possible.
Zero? Shade Zero?
That would be cool. Maybe the deepest ones
Yeah.
are Shade Zero. That's an interesting idea.
Ooh.
I fully thought they were shades, and that
I do.
wasn't a mystery.
No. I
don't know
I
what they
do
are.
think they are shades. It could be some other mythological thing. I do not think it is that brand of fused, and Brandon just reused the name. I do not believe that in the slightest. It is very funny though that he reused it. But also, David, you almost completely nailed that quote. So good job.
Thank you. Well,
Very good.
I wrote the deepest ones wiki article, and there's only one sentence to put in there. So
There you go.
yeah, Brandon does promise that we will learn more about them in the Threnody novel, which seems weird because again, wrong continent. But we will
The
find out.
deepest ones? The deepest ones in
Yep.
particular? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's been asked
It's a
multiple
split
times about it.
POV between the people who go to the homeland and somebody doing research on shades.
Somebody like mucking out the pigsty on Silence's waist up.
It's definitely one of those things that I just can't picture what the plot of this book is like at all, because we have just the tiniest hints in Shadows for Silence of this greater thing, and I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on here. Whereas Brandon's like, I know what's up.
I know. I'm like, they can't just be wandering around ruins for a whole book, but like, who knows?
Yeah. It's just what are they doing? What's happening? How are the deepest ones involved? Why do the rat skulls glow? What's going on with the glowing? Corrupted
all we
investor?
revealed in the Night Brigade coming to a bookstore near you in 2045.
That's what this wound on the spiritual realm does. It makes rat skulls glow.
Yeah,
Oh.
the
Maybe
random
it's like
effects. Easy.
the Night Brigade shows up to the homeland, realizes that their ancestors were like right to leave, and just find a way back in like the first few chapters, and then the
that
rest
would
of it
suck.
is
Ew.
in hell with them dealing with shade stuff, and then taking over the planet as a mercenary company and forcing all the shades to work for them and planning their launch into the wider Cosmere.
Boo.
It's an option.
Wow. Any other final thoughts, guys?
No.
Wow, nailed it.
Nailed it.
I feel like we're the deepest ones for going through this podcast.
We might be.
We're Shade
We might
Zero,
be.
actually.
I would use the antonym of that word. The highest ones. Because
Oh.
we're kind of loopy.
Oh, in that sense, yes. But we delved
Kinda
deep, potentially
Oh,
too
indeed.
greedily. I still
Got
love
my
the part,
ass.
David, where you're like, I don't want to get into too deep. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, when you've been want to do this episode for how many years? Did you say 2018, Eric? It's been a
2018.
long time.
Yeah.
This has been building. So,
Yeah.
here we are.
That's very funny.
I've got my silver chain, so maybe I'm safe according to the last rites and what we know of them. Hard to say.
That's good.
Yeah, you'll become a sapient shade to haunt us for a long time. So I'm looking forward to that, actually. Not anyone else here, but anyway, let's move on over to Zach Cosmere character.
This character is from Roshar.
Menace, Tia, Tome,
Raise.
Void in drag on a horse.
It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character? Call.
All right, everyone, it's time to play Who's That Cosmere Character, the game show where you send in 5 clues and the character that those clues correspond to. I read each clue aloud, and after each one, our panelists have the chance to guess who's that Cosmere character. Who's ready to play?
I
go.
am.
I guess.
This one was sent in by Lightspren,
Okay.
and we're gonna switch it up, actually, and do Where's That Cosmere Location?
Well, I mean, we did do a location today, so that was the
Yes.
topic.
Seemed
Gotta
fitting.
reformat the brain for the one.
I know. Do you think it's going to be the city or lake that is named after me? Which would be very funny.
We'll
Airline.
find out.
Mhm.
This character was named, or this character was the site of this location. This location was the site of a historical event.
Twilight
Aren't most
Falls.
locations?
It is not Twilight Falls.
I was gonna guess Twilight Falls.
We're on the same vibe today.
I forgot about Twilight Falls. I was like, don't you mean the Impossible Falls, Eric? But that's something
No.
else.
The Battle of Twilight Falls. Yes.
My guess is the Fountain Square, renamed as the Square of the Survivor.
It is not the Square of the Survivor.
Something important happens everywhere. All right, let's think. What about
The site of a
Erytheru.
historical event. It is
Yeah.
not Erythera. No, watch the answer just be Scadrial. No, just kidding.
I mean, it's true.
Clue 2. This location was on the warfront.
Wow, that really doesn't really narrow things down very much.
What about Ral Elorim?
It is not Ral Elarim.
I'm not sure if that was the right one. I was trying to remember the city from the epigraph where they were saying what they were pushing. I don't know if it was from epigraph, but like where the Voidrunners were fighting towards there for.
No, that's true.
The,
That's true.
false installation.
Yeah, that was Ral Elream. Yes.
Okay.
Let's go with Sesemilix Dar.
It is not some Semelic Star.
Was Warfront?
Feverstone Keep.
It is Feverstone.
shit.
Oh, there you go.
You had Ral Elream. You were going right.
I was going for the right thing. Oh well.
All right, that's good. That's good.
Clue 3. This.
No.
Clue
I like
3
it.
was this. This location was made of a reddish material.
Mm.
Before, this location was only seen on screen through the use of investiture. Clue 5. This location was the site of a genocide.
That's Bren died. Sure. Yeah. I mean. Yeah.
I guess
yeah.
the spread. The spread
Yeah,
makes sense.
that's right. I still have many questions about why Feverstone Keep was important that were not addressed at all for the truth. I'll be
I
totally
felt hints were dropped though, actually, like when they were doing the kind of negotiations in some of the flashbacks. Like they were like, "Yep, there's something important over here."
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Full disclosure, I said Feverstone Keep, and I was definitely thinking of the fortress in the Pure Lake vision, which is not Feverstone Keep.
Oh,
But I'm going to take the win anyway because I said it like that.
man, slop. That's slop right there. It's just like cool. No.
Because wasn't when Dalinar was in that weird vision in Words of Radiance, which is still a weird one. He was like, "Oh, is that Feverstone Keep?" But he's like, "No, that can't be Feverstone Keep, right?"
Was that?
I think that's what twigged in my brain.
Yeah.
that Feverstone Keep was mentioned in that.
Yes, I think it
Vision.
was.
I just wanted to throw attention to the fact too that it is absolutely insane with the context that there are only 3 chasm fiends, that they were having a regular band of
Thunderclass.
1 radiant. Yeah, you're right. Thunderclass. A regular band of soldiers with 1 radiant hunting for one of 3 Thunderclasts.
You know, I try not to think about that because I'm like, I don't know how that makes any sense at all. And like, okay, I'm not going to worry about that.
Anyway,
Cool. We got that one really fast, actually. Like, holy crap.
You did. I feel like for locations that, like, I guess there are some obscure locations that only show up on maps, but I kind of feel like Brandon more so tends to just focus his books around specific areas.
Yeah, that's true. There's not a lot of traveling. Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's why I felt like we were kind of immediately going into Rashar because it's the best built out set of place of settings. Like, what are you going to do on a cell? Like,
Launchers,
is it Giant? Is it Hrovel? Like, no, we know nothing about it.
I was like going through in my head, like, okay, where are the war fronts in the Cosmere? And I'm like, most planets don't have those.
Yeah. It's got to be Roshar, right? Our war planet.
Is it Huth and Cuth?
It's Hooth and Cooth.
It's actually Hanaald, not Hallandren, good sir. And is it the Bright Sea or the Inner Sea?
Oh my god.
Anyway, save us, Grace.
Right, this next one that we're doing was sent in by Manukos.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Clue
All right.
1. This character is a jerk.
Basher.
Not Vasher.
This is Cosmere character, not
Yes.
Cytoverse character.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Sure.
Who? Yeah, WTCC is ambiguous. Who's that side of her?
Oh boy.
It's Cosmere. I'll confirm that.
I'm.
Oh, you're confirming the Cytoverse as Cosmere? Okay.
Oh God.
I'm gonna go with King Iodon.
It's not King Iodon.
He's arguably jerk is maybe too light a term to use with King Iodon,
I
the
mean,
human
it's
sacrificer.
true. It's true. You know. Look, you can be worse than a jerk and still have the jerk label apply. Okay.
Most people thought he was just a jerk, not a murderer.
I'm going to guess Reen.
It is not Reen.
Also, panic in my brain of is it Reen or is it Zine? And I'm like, no, it's Reen, right?
That's very funny.
Zine Nightshade.
Zine
No, he was a
Nightshade.
coward.
Clue 2. This character is killed by the same investiture they command.
That's a good clue.
Denth?
It is not Denth.
It's not a jerk though. I don't know.
It is
Do you
not
think Denth is a
Amram.
nice guy? He acts like a nice guy, then he starts torturing Vasher.
Look, I don't want to make moral judgments here, David. Like he's a tortured soul. Come on.
What is a jerk? You could be a nice guy who's a murderer, maybe. Okay. So killed by the same investiture, a jerk. What about? Oh, okay. I'm forgetting his name, but I'll describe him because I can't remember. Oh, it's been so long. I wrote his Coppermine article. He is the man that Vasher kills for and takes his breath at the start of Warbreaker.
Oh, what's his name?
Var.
Var. Yeah.
It is not Var.
I remember you
that
making
was
that
absolutely
article.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember that making that article exemplary. Like that was a good one.
It was
Yeah.
a good scene too. That was a
That was a
solid
good.
scene.
That was a
Brandon.
great start to
Yeah.
a book for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Did you guess Eric?
Yeah, I guess Denth like an idiot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Denth Amram. Okay. Clue 3. This character has Rosharan enemies.
I love clues like that where it's not this character's from Rashar, but it's enough to make you think, well, they could be from Rashar, you know, like.
But it makes me immediately think if they're not Rosharan but with Rosharan enemies.
I know. Well, at least gives you like.
When is
I
this
like it more though.
When was this sent?
This was sent in September 2024.
Okay.
Okay.
So before when?
What about Kelsier?
It is not Kelsier.
I was just about to guess Kelsier. Because, like, yeah.
Died from the same investiture they command. I'm gonna go with Amaram.
It is not Amaram, and also Amaram was Ian's guess last round.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't paying
really?
attention.
No, I missed that as well.
Okay,
I
well that's
also
good.
right before we went on to clue 3, I did mutter Danth Amaram Var, so it's like it was said multiple times.
I'm hungry. Okay.
That's true. I am hungry too.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sue me.
Rosharan enemy.
Well, Ian, we're just on the same page. That's just what it is. Not enough for me to pay attention to what you said.
Hoyd, I'm sure he's died at some point.
He's kind of a jerk.
Oh, if I investiture he
I could
commands.
say he's a jerk.
It
Died.
is not Void.
Mm.
Clue 4. This character has Scadrian allies.
Oh, this is good. I like this.
You said when did this come in?
September 2024.
Okay, so it can't have Wind and Truth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, unless this is coming from someone breaking the rules. No, I'm kidding.
So they died. It's interesting.
Scadrian allies, Rasharan enemies.
Mm.
This feels guessable. This is a good one.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
I really hope we get to clue 5 because I like it a lot.
Okay. What was clue 3 again?
Clue 3 was Rosharan enemies.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Damn, this is hard. I keep yeah. Huh.
That doesn't work.
And everything I think of has Wind and Truth stuff in it, and also doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Oh, no. You know what? I'm going to guess it anyway. I'm going to say Vasher.
It is not Vasher. And it was already guessed.
It was my first guess. It's okay. That was a ways back.
We're doing great today, guys.
Let's
just get out of here.
I know. Let's see.
I just have a memory of a
doing
goldfish.
the staring at the spines of his book strategy.
Yep. I have a memory of a goldfish. Okay, guys.
I think someone will get it after clue 5. If you want to pass.
Like, I'm not ready to pass yet. I won't agonize over this, but I keep wanting to do like Ghostblood stuff, but I'm like, I don't think none of the Ghostblood died in like the Lost Metal, you know?
The things that come to mind are Wind and Truth.
Yeah. Scadrian allies, but Rosharan enemies.
Died to an investiture that they command. Like that's the other. Like I'm just like, there's some really like these are really good and specific clues.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah,
that's good.
Like I was like, it can't be Tin because she doesn't have a shard plate, and you know she's not really a ghost blood. You know, it doesn't really fit.
But it could be a Rosharan ghost blood though, right?
Could be a Rosharan ghost blood. We don't really see many of them die. Like she was the closest I think of as a dead Rosharan ghost blood.
Sure.
And like maybe you could say like Cobb Salt, but unless poison is an investiture.
Hey,
everyone's killed by what he commanded.
Don't tell that to the guy from Provel or whatever that potion was.
Master?
Yeah, the potion master.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't think it was from Provel, but it was. You know what I'm talking about.
It might have been. I think it actually might have been Provel, Eric.
That'd be pretty great if I got that.
Can I look at just that page of the Coppermind as Provel?
I'll fact check that. I'll fact check that for you, Eric.
Okay.
I think
like how I'm like Provel, but
while.
can't remember Vasher and Amaram from 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
It's good.
Long-term memory is great. Short-term, no.
It's garbage.
Okay, I'm going to have to pick a BS guess here in a second. Otherwise, I'm not going to.
I'm going to guess this is stupid. This is a joke guess that is going to be my guess. It's shy and death counts as whenever she changes out her essence marks because like the old version of her dies.
Ship of Theseus.
It is not shy.
Okay.
Good.
Oh, wait, she's not a jerk, is she? Is that still this one? I don't even remember.
It is.
Yes,
the other one's a place. It's these are the other. Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
it's been so long.
This place is a jerk.
Feverstone Keep was a real ass.
Maybe a place just it gets enough investiture. Comes self-aware.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
like
happened
a character.
On Cell.
Yeah, it's happened on Cell. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up quick. Let me think.
Jerks who die.
I don't investiture.
Who also have connections to world toppers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have investiture that they in some way command, like.
Yeah. So you can't say like felt.
Yeah.
But he didn't die. So that doesn't.
He didn't die. Yeah.
That is a problem.
I guess I'm just going to throw it away and I'm going to guess. Do we feel like Axendwith died? Did she seem dead?
But that was Wind and Truth.
Wind and Truth? I know, but I'm going to throw it away, Eric.
Well, I do think she probably died, yeah.
Really died. She died too easy. I'm gonna guess accent with.
It is not accent with.
Damn.
Okay,
Oh, no.
for some reason I'm having trouble finding the potions guy. What?
His name's Fortin.
Okay.
This is what we need to look up right
It
now.
is Fortin. No.
No, I was looking. I was trying to find. Look at the. Oh yeah, he is a Hravel potion maker. I was looking at the Hravel page.
You
to
know
see if
what?
there was
I'm gonna
a list
say
notable Hravelians, and he wasn't listed. So I was trying to like click through other
Sure.
location pages and couldn't find
Budget
him
section
anywhere.
for just him.
sure. I am gonna say that I won that. What's that Cosmere character? What's that Cosmere location? Even though I made up the challenge and I beat it myself.
Well, there's not even any mention of like Hravel being a place where potions like are made on its page. So I was like,
Well, maybe
it's
that.
listed as
artic-
complete. So
Oh,
it's listed as complete, but there's no mention of
It's
descriptions
not.
on
It's
here.
not
so I don't
anywhere.
know.
We did get a wob about that. That his
that
potions
exists.
aren't.
All right. So we're on clue 5.
yes, good.
Yeah.
Decomplete that article and then backed it. No.
Clue 5. This character doesn't get much sun.
What?
Oh, it's the Cinder King.
It is the Cinder King.
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say he
Doesn't
is
get
a
my
mass
stuff.
murderer who you would say is a jerk. Yeah, I'll just say, David.
He's a jerk. He's a jerk. No, I won't contest that. He's a jerk in his personal interactions. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I was initially going like shade smart, but that's a good, excellent. Who's that Cosmere character?
I like the description of living on Canticle as it doesn't get much sun. I think that's funny.
That's funny. I went to Dark Side and then I'm like, oh crap. It's like John Akron or Cinder.
Yeah,
You know which one's a traitor.
with all their Rasharan and Scadrial allies and
And you know, Cinder King.
Cinderheart. Cinderheart.
Oh. If you think about
and
it,
like he gets killed by the sun, right?
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
leave him behind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think and
This was
Sigil like
the one.
sucks. the investor out of
Sigil
it, too.
drains his cinder heart before
yeah.
like
so he can't even be a
Maybe.
shade. Well, no, I mean he could because he had the weird.
He gets
cinder
burned
heart.
over that
no, he
skull. Well,
becomes
turns into
a sun heart.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's like they're like fighting
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
very
yeah.
edge of where the dawn is, and then like Sigil drains his cinder heart and skips away. I was rereading the article, his Coppermind article at the start of it, because I was curious how he died, because I did not remember.
Good old Cinder King.
The Cinder King. Well, this
Points for
was
me.
yeah, you nailed it. Well, you know, this episode sure went to a lot of different places, guys. So I don't know if this was good.
Oh,
I had fun though, and that's all that matters. But I think this is peak Shardcast energy. We got a peak Shardcast cast. Yeah, I'm going to repeat cast twice. I think that makes sense in that sentence. You can't sue me for that. You can find us on 17shard.com for all your news, discussion, theories, and fun that you could ever want. You can join our Discord, discord.gg/17shard. You can support our Patreon for as little as $1 a month, patreon.com/17shard. And you can subscribe on YouTube. You know, we need that algorithm boost. If you made it to the episode, like, I hope you liked the content. So you can like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time for something else. I don't know what we're doing in October. Something presumably.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Caw.